good to go.
Okay, good, thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Madam Clerk, would you please read the roll?
Certainly. Ready? Supervisor Moore.
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Present.
Councilman Iacilli.
Present.
Councilman Pell.
Present.
Councilman Scavone.
Present.
Move to accept the minutes from the Town Board meeting of March 12th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the communications?
The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the Village of Sag Harbor, a local law adoption, New York State Office of Cannabis Management notification to municipality for a new establishment application for 471 County Road 39 in Southampton. New York State Liquor Authority 30-day advance notice to local municipality, new applications, 41 North Phillips Avenue, store number 4 in Spionk, 279 Montauk Highway, Watermill, and 2393 Montauk Highway in Bridgehampton. We have received emails, letters, and land use applications regarding the following. Bel Air Cove Motel, 20 Shinnecock Road, Hampton Bays, CPF preservation of the David Burlick Home, Hampton Bays, CPF purchase of Evergreen Property, East Quogue, proposed battery energy storage systems, BESS, proposed change of zone application entitled Liberty Gardens, County Road 39, Southampton, road conditions of Scuttle Hole Road and Lubber Lane, Bridgehampton, VHB Energy Consultants. Planning Board application received, the final application entitled Estate of Madeline Cuomo, East Quogue. Zoning Board of Appeals applications for 40 Ocean View Drive, Shinnecock Hills, and 4 White Oak Lane, Southampton. The following bid and request for proposals were received on March 20th, 2024. Bid for removal of abandoned junk and decommissioned vehicles for the Police Department. Bid to furnish and install asphalt concrete, Highway Department. Bid for Hampton Bays Water District tank washing for the Hampton Bays Water District. Bid for requirements, contract for drainage, construction, Highway Department for east and west of the canal. Bid for Hot Dog Beach sanitary system improvements from the Parks Department. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
Thank you. I've got 4 walk-on resolutions that I will read, and you can all let me know if you want to have them added to the agenda. It's Town Board Resolution ID number 44838 to ratify a stipulation of settlement and release of claims. Town Board Resolution number 445994, the warrant. Town Board Resolution number 46005 to designate the month of April as Dark Skies Month in the town of Southampton. And Town Board Resolution number 46010, notice of public hearing for WQIP funding allocation for the wastewater treatment improvement project at Riverside Sewer Treatment Plant, Phase 1 from the Community Preservation Fund, 20% water quality improvement project funds.
Second. Did you move to walk those on?
Yeah, I move to walk these
Second.
4 on. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the first public hearing?
Public hearing number 1, to consider establishing a sewer district known as the Riverside Sewer District in the hamlet of Riverside.
There we are.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Good evening, members of the Town Board. So as you know, this is a continuation of the public hearings held on February 15th, February 27th, and March 12th as it relates to the formation of the Riverside Sewer District. Since this is a continuation hearing, I'll give you a brief update of the current status of the project. As you know, a map plan and report attendant to the establishment of that district was filed with the town clerk's office on January 23rd. Since that time, some revisions have been made to the map plan and report. Some of those revisions are non-substantive and are meant to clarify a few details. Other revisions are more notable and relate to the cost of the project. There should be a memo before you dated today, which has been handed to the town clerk for filing as well, detailing those changes, but I will go through those cost changes with you, as those are the most substantive. The cost changes come at the recommendation of the town's engineering consultants, Stephen Hayduck, and agreed to by Tom Lembo, the engineer who's actually preparing the map plan report. And the cost changes are based on three assumptions, so to speak. The first is based upon the rising costs of construction and materials. The projected cost for the STP and the infrastructure has been increased to more accurately reflect bid prices that were recently received by Stephen Haydock on a similar Suffolk County sewer project. So basically, within the last 10 days or so, our engineering consultant had received bids that were out on the street for a similar project, and they were much higher than they had anticipated. And so he's been speaking with us regularly. We contacted Tom Lembo, and it was thought that it was most prudent to also increase our costs to reflect those prices. Number two, the escalation costs have been added in to account for some inflation, given the actual time it will take to realize this construction, that is to say, over 2 to 3 years. And third, the contingency has been increased from what was 10% to 30%, and that has come at the recommendation of Stephen Hayduck as well as EFC, after a recent phone call we had with them. These cost differences are intended to be made up by two main funding sources. One is an increase to in the EFC grant monies, which are initially funded from the bipartisan infrastructure law bill, to $19 million, which is the maximum amount that we can receive under that grant. Previously, we were at about $14 million. And the second is a further request from the CPF Water Quality Improvement Program funds, which the supervisor read to you as a walk-on resolution. If you are so inclined to allow that to proceed to public hearing, then that cost of $4.6 million would help realize the gap in those increased costs. So those are the essential changes. We, because of those changes, have no intention of asking you to close the hearing tonight, but we're happy to answer any further questions you may have.
Just for the public's edification, that
Yes.
CPF funding is still within the percentage
Yes.
that was allowable?
Yes, absolutely. It's within the statutory permissible costs. It's 20%
Thank you.
of the annual.
And we're going to keep the public hearing open
Yes.
until after this public hearing is open, until we hear the next public hearing that we are advertising, and that gets closed and that funding is put in place.
Correct. April 9th is the date, again, if you're so inclined to authorize that resolution to go to hearing. The public hearing for the increase in water quality funds will be on April 9th, and I would ask you to also adjourn this hearing to April 9th.
And there's no increase of cost per household.
No, correct. Good point.
I
Thank
just
you,
wanna make that
Councilman
clear.
Pell. Yes, that's very important. Thank you. Again, despite those increased costs, we are going back to CPF and EFC and asking for additional monies so that there is no monies that the homeowners are going to have to pay. The goal, it remains, always has been and remains, to have the homeowners pay for no capital costs for this project.
And that would be what? The number?
The total number of
No,
the.
the number for what the household would have to pay.
$225.
Oh,
$225.
225, yes,
I just
operating
wanted
and
to
maintenance.
Make sure my paper agreed with your
Yes,
paper.
it does. Yes, thank you, Councilman.
And that's an
And
average.
that's still right here.
Yes.
You can see that here. This is an updated chart of the funding.
That's an average number, right?
It is, correct.
And we are still actively seeking, possibly through Senator Schumer's office, ways we might be able to even bring that cost possibly down for those who may qualify?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. And just as an aside, but to be clear, this is all for phase one.
Right.
This is, the increase in these monies is as it relates to Phase 1.
So you mentioned the map and plan and some slight adjustments in the map and plan, just so, for the public's edification.
Yes.
We do not have plans in Phase 1 to change the map and plan to add other facilities, namely the county facility at this time.
Correct. Not at
And
this
I
time.
think we're in agreement on that. So, okay. Thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work there.
Yeah, thanks, Kathleen.
Okay, so, public hearing.
Sorry, can we meet again? Am I allowed to speak, or?
We usually call the cards in the order in which they're received.
Oh, is there someone before me?
Yes,
Oh.
Don Thomas.
Sorry.
You let him go first.
No?
He said go.
Call the roll.
Well, it's the
Sorry,
chair's
it
call.
Yeah.
Are you Ken? Ken?
I'm sorry, my statement will be brief and kind.
Welcome.
I was here
Thanks,
last
Ken.
time, I believe. Good evening, Madam Supervisor and council members. My name is Robert Summerlin. I'm a small property owner in the Riverside area. I'm here tonight to speak about the sewer district you planned for Riverside. First and foremost, let me say, I'm not for or against the sewer district. I just have questions on why and for who the sewer district benefits. I, like others, are small property owners with a cesspool system. Question why I wouldn't be required to join a sewer district if my sewage system works for the property size I have. I understand the larger developers need the sewer district so that they can comply with the Peconic Riverside. My question is simple. There are homes in this there are average-sized homes such as smaller than commercial properties in Riverside area to be developed. But I believe the small properties would bear the brunt of the tax base. No, I haven't done the math yet. No, my information is limited, but a common sense question would tell me who would benefit the most from this sewer district. So then, let the developers bear the higher percentage of the tax base. Also, I hear rumors of apartment buildings being planned, 3 to 4, 6 stories, large commercial structures. If this is true, as I say, there are rumors instinctively bear some truth to them. True, the area in Flanders, Riverside has always been the bastard child of the Hamptons, and I assume you're trying to remedy this by allowing commercial development in the area. But I caution on how fast who benefits and who gets hurt financially. We sometimes have to accept progress. I always saw there was no going back. We can only look forward. But I have to look to the past so that I can make good sense of the future. True, I'm sure there's been a lot of thought put into this sewage district. As I stated earlier, I'm not for or against it. I'm just looking for the small property owners who have questions. One question I do have, how come it wasn't put as a referendum to the Riverside area residents? So that everybody in the Riverside area could vote on it.
You mean the plan itself, or the sewer?
I'm
or
sorry?
The revitalization plan,
No,
or?
the sewer district.
If the area were paying for it, I think that would be a
I'm sorry.
more.
I'm hard of hearing
I-
in
yeah,
my
and-
ears, so that's why I have to sometimes. have to
Currently, we've procured grant monies for the entire project. The entire project. So there's no taxpayers' dollars going into building this. So, I mean, it's a good question. And so with the referendum, without that installation price tag on it, it would have been more appropriate if the community was paying for it to do exactly what you said.
But you projected that my tax bill will go up $200 for the sewer district.
It would be a usage fee for the sewer, and that's an average, and that would depend
And
on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I interrupt you. I have to
Well, it's
apologize.
200, and that's annually. And you would also, the other part is, on your home, you would no longer have your septic system that you would need to maintain. That would be gone. And as someone that comes from a family of plumbers, that's big money at times when it happens.
My
Yeah.
only issue is, the only
Okay.
people that are gonna profit from this are the developers who build the larger projects. Shouldn't they bear the expense of the sewage district?
And if that does come to pass, they would be paying into the sewer
And
district.
your costs would then come down.
Yeah. And to answer your question, this was for revitalization of the area at the request of the community consistently from 2012. And the
Which
other
com-
part is
I'm sorry.
reduction of nitrogen in
I
the
have-
Conic estuary.
Okay,
So
I'm sorry.
I
If I
interrupted.
interrupt you, it's because maybe I can't, when you said earlier, from the community, which community? Because this is the first I heard of it when you sent me a letter. I've spoken to other people in the neighborhood, and no one seems to know about this. So I'm not questioning what you're saying. I'm saying, where did it come from? I know there was the Conic Renaissance Project. They were the first to propose this. So,
We really don't go question and answer back and forth on
Yeah,
this
okay.
period of the town board meeting, but the Renaissance, this is part of that, the Renaissance revitalization. This is part of it, but aspects of it have changed where the town is really spearheading the creation of the sewage treatment plant at this point. But
But-
if you have other questions, you can certainly, if you want to call my office and I'll speak with you and have any other questions, but we typically don't do a back and forth at a town board meeting. But
all right.
certainly more than willing to sit down with you and,
Yes, I've
answer
said
any
my
questions
piece,
you
so
might have.
I'm not gonna take up any more
no,
of
no,
your
it's all
time.
right.
I
No, I
appreciate you
appreciate it. I
listening.
appreciate your concerns. And I would love to sit down and, talk with more. If you have any questions, we'd love to talk to you and
If I'm not
hear
mistaken,
any
that
neighbors.
Sonic Renaissance project there no longer exists? Or were they taken
This is
over by
a-
somebody else?
No, the company that the master developer was Renaissance, and they really, it's a question about, do they even exist any longer? So the town is really spearheading their own, moving along towards their own creation of a sewage treatment plant on our own, working with state funding and whatnot, that's,
All right, so thank you.
but,
Thank
but
you.
yeah.
We had conversations with community groups all along the way. And I knew that I made the comment actually at a meeting here that there are folks that work 2-3 jobs and don't go to community meetings, and that's why I asked that those letters be sent out so that everyone would be aware of what was going on. So that you could come have your set.
Madam McNamara, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes.
All right. I've spoken to the development behind off Ludlam Avenue, and I mentioned it to him, and he said he's never heard anything about it. But I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will say that Janice Shear and her team and Len and Kathleen and the town has done a remarkable job in getting grant funding for this so that the entire project is being paid for with grant money. And so the only cost is the annual operation and maintenance fee, and the town has agreed to cover that for a period of time anyway. And the benefit is not only the water quality improvement, but also the revitalization of the community will result in increased property values. And you'll never have to pump again. So there are some benefits. All right, but thank you for your comments. Okay. Next speaker is Don Thomas.
I'm going to let Jeff go first, and then I'll follow up.
Okay, Jeff Seaman, please, come on up.
Good evening, Supervisor, members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to speak again on this important project. A few comments first, if I may get some clarifications. My understanding that at the last meeting on March 12th, the final impact statement, supplemental generic impact statement, was trying to be submitted for your review prior to this meeting. Has that been completed yet?
We've got
No,
some
or
partial,
received, or-
partial comments back with it. We still don't have a completed document, but we expect it any day now.
Okay, thank you. Because that's adding perhaps to some of my confusion and some of what I identify as some conflicts between what was presented, at least in the draft EIS, and what I've reviewed to date in the current map and plan. And let me start with the perhaps minor increase that I expect to see in costs, because in addition to what was just presented to you this evening, I think some more bad news is coming for me. I reviewed the finding statement for the generic EIS, which is a preamble actually in the supplemental. In there, the finding statement states that there shall be odor control installed. Now, the rest of the document talks about installing it only if there's an odor problem. People suspect that there might not be because it is an interior issue, but I believe that that statement is binding and was probably placed in there because the location of the treatment plant is adjacent to the Phillips Avenue School and the Head Start program. And I'm sure that somebody earlier in the review process, not this board, but when this all started, probably identified those two as potential receptor sites for odors that may come from the plant. So I would suggest that the engineers maybe value that out for you and add it to their cost estimate.
Before you go,
Secondly,
Mr. Seaman, before you go on, are you here representing the town
I'm
of
here
Riverhead?
representing the town of
If I
Riverhead.
could- I
Town
can't
board.
hear.
I'm here representing the
Riverhead
town of
Town
Riverhead
Board.
Town Board as
Okay.
commissioners of the sewer district in Riverhead.
Thank you.
They've been listed as both an interested party, but in the generic EIS, they have also been identified as a potential receptor for both the biosolids resulting from this facility. And I believe that issue was still open for a dialogue according to conversations that Ms. Tomic and you had had here at the podium. I apologize for not resolving that. I thought by now I'd be a familiar face.
Just to make it clear for our
Thank you.
audience.
For the
This
record,
is-
thank you.
yeah.
Second, I'm not sure that you are aware that the hamlet of Riverside, as identified in the map and plan, is now identified by the boundary line that you currently have on the map. It's in the map and plan. Previously, the hamlet extended west of the traffic circle, but according to the map and plan, that boundary has been changed, and the hamlet now exists exactly where phases 1 and 2 are located. Another observation I found was that at least 2 of the parcels in the map and plan have the phase 1 district slicing through 2 of the parcels. So I'm sure when they take a look at that, they'll question their tax bill for sure, because if you're on one side of the property, you're in the district, and if you go to the backyard, well, you're out of the district. Another observation I had was, my understanding anyway, was the district, the Riverside district, was to encompass all of 1 and 2, and that the construction phases were separated, not really the district. So I think until the findings, even before the finding statement is issued, but at least when the final generic EIS is presented and I have an opportunity to review how those responses to the earlier questions and issues that have been raised have been responded to, and the finding statement, which should really direct how the outcome of the Riverside Sewer District should be presented, I think that this document prepared in January might be a little premature until we all have answers to those questions that have been raised to date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you.
comments.
Can we have some clarification from our planners on this?
Janice wants to talk.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Janice Scherer, Town Planning and Development Administrator. Just a couple of comments. Obviously, we're dealing with, a point in time where we have the original engineering report that is required by EFC in order to form a district is an early understanding of engineering. It's a feasibility study. An initial engineering report is truly a feasibility study. You have a problem to solve, you show attendant methods, you show how you're going to fund it, and then as you're at a 50,000 foot view. And then as you drill into this project, you form a district, you get engineers, you design further, you're getting closer, 30,000, and then down to, ground level where you're on the ground. So there's some design considerations that remain to be seen. So under EFC's rules, we've done everything they've asked us to do. We've done an engineering report. We're now forming a district. We're working through our SECRA analysis. We've gone through a value engineering report. We've done each and every step, and EFC has been our partner, and they are engineers along the way. As this happens, when we get to the selection of the design engineer, now they're going to design, do we have disinfection? Is it definitely SBR? Do we want MBR? Are we doing grinder pumps? Are we having odor control? We already committed to a gravity belt thickener in the value engineering process, which is included in these costs, and that makes the sludge into a more thickened product so that it can be more easily transported off. So there's a lot of engineering and design considerations that will come forward as we get more granular on the design. So I respectfully disagree with Mr. Seaman's statements that we don't know certain things. We also confirmed with EFC, this is your sewer district. You can make a boundary to a sewer district wherever you want. You don't have to include the county center or make it the whole hamlet. You decide where you want this special district and how it's going to operate. You can phase in future districts if you choose to, which may or may not include the Suffolk County complex. So we're happy to provide the responses to comments. We think we're at that point where we're going to give you drafts as you're the lead agency. You'll review those responses. Let me know how we can make it better, and then those will be determined. There will be a resolution determining that those responses are complete, that you feel that you've responded to all the questions and concerns accurately. And then you have to wait a minimum of 10 days in order to adopt findings and enact the district. So I just want to make that process clear so we are all on the same page.
I just want to thank you for the Hamlet clarification, because I know we're looking at Hampton Bays as a possible next site to do as an SUV.
Yeah, and in that
we are
case-
absolutely not doing the entire
You're doing
Hamlet
the whole
of
hamlet. You're
Hampton
doing a
Bays.
business corridor, right? So that's
But
what
here,
you're
the
doing. there.
district is the entire blue and yellow, but the
It
phases
is,
are
but the
set
phases
forth.
are separate because there's no sense in doing them all in one shot because you can't possibly accomplish all this. But we're putting the collection and conveyance system in and then hooking people up in phases. That's what this is sort of all about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janice.
Janice, one more question, just a clarification.
Sure.
Is the area where we're going to site the sewage treatment facility actually adjacent to the elementary school?
The elementary school is here.
Okay.
So there's a 50-foot wide path of woods here, patch of woods.
Mhm.
Then there's woodland. The leaching pools are here, and the treatment system is in the middle. So also, there will be completely contained in enclosed building, the sewage treatment, and obviously odor control is a big concern. We would not want to jeopardize anyone's comfort here, and in addition, you also have vegetation, which also acts as for air quality purposes.
And in the plan, is the school going to be hooked up to the district?
It is
Phase
not.
two.
It's
In the
on
phase two.
there if they
Mm.
want to, but because they're a school district, that's really something that remains to be seen.
Okay,
We would love for them
But they
to.
would be in phase two regardless.
right.
They're in blue phase
in the
two.
blue
Yeah, we
phase
put them
two.
in phase two because we knew that would take time to work through.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But if the original EIS, as Mr. Seaman noted, and I don't know if this is, I didn't see it myself, if it said, or I don't recall, if it said that the odor control is a requirement, and then along the way, the map and plan said it's something to be considered, how does that happen?
We absolutely, that's why we built in a 30% contingency. So we are absolutely interested in adding odor control and, like I said, disinfectant, grinder pump, this, that. We're going to get there with significant amount of workshops with our engineers to get to the final design. So we're at like, an early design, you gotta get to 30%, then 60%, then EFC comes back in and does a whole other value engineering to make sure that we're right-sized, not overspending, not underspending, we're doing the right thing. We have a lot of oversight from the state in this, so I just want you to be aware of those controls.
One more quick question.
Sure.
With the buffer there, if you're at the school, you probably will not be able to see that at all.
You won't be able to see that. There's all wooded, and we have clearing restrictions from the Pine Barrens that we told them that we would not take down those trees until phase 2. So we're leaving them intact, doing the leaching pools on the one side, and then we would, as it goes on,
Yeah.
remove
Thank
the
you.
trees. And any large caliber trees will try to remain if we can. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Ms. Thomas, would you like to speak now?
Good evening, Dawn Thomas. I'm the administrator of the Town of Riverhead's Department of Economic Development, Planning and Building. I'm here tonight to speak on the map and plan for the Riverside STP. As you will recall, over the course of the last few months, the Town of Riverhead has expressed serious concerns regarding the environmental review of the Riverside Community STP, as well as the implementation of the recommendations of the now nearly 10-year-old Riverside Revitalization Action Plan, which hinges entirely upon the creation of the Riverside Community STP. As always, I incorporate my comments to Mr. Siemens as part of my official comments, reiterate all of my written and verbal comments made at all prior hearings we have attended, and note that the Town of Riverhead continues to object to 1, the completeness and legality of the SEQRA process as it relates to the formation of the Riverside Community Sewer District, and 2, the implementation of the 10-year-old Riverside Revitalization Action Plan based upon the creation of the STP. Further review of Southampton's plans have also generated concerns on our part relating to the use of CPF funding for the purpose of creating new development rather than solely serving existing development. It bears noting again that literally all of the anticipated impacts resulting from the creation of the STP and the implementation of the RAP will be borne entirely by the Town of Riverhead, in particular the impacts to the school district and on environmental justice. Accordingly, and I would just say that just in terms of environmental justice, as you know, because it's an environmental justice area, an enhanced public engagement process is required. And I think it's really illustrative of the fact that perhaps it wasn't as robust as it might have been, because had the parents of the Phillips Avenue Elementary School been aware that the STP was being built about 400 feet away from the school, I think you might have seen some of them here at some of these meetings. I think if you just relate it to even Southampton, if you were going to build an STP right near the Southampton schools, the parents would certainly be here. And so I think that just bears consideration. Accordingly, it's critical that Riverhead's comments and input be reviewed and given the most serious consideration by the Town of Southampton. We continue to express our desire that the proposed map and plan be expanded to include the Suffolk County Center and Correctional Facility so that the Town of Riverhead can implement its plans for expansion of the Riverhead Sewer District along West Main Street, allowing us to fully utilize our TDR program, an essential tool in achieving Riverhead's land preservation goals. Additionally, it's imperative that the RAP is revised to accommodate the dramatic demographic changes in the area, as well as the revitalization efforts undertaken by Riverhead over the past 7 years, so that meaningful and effective revitalization can happen to Riverside and Riverhead, and so existing segregation in the area is not exacerbated. We understand that Southampton Town needs affordable housing. According to your housing plan, which was attendant to your CPF sign-on for the affordable housing legislation, only 1.2% of your total housing stock is subsidized. That's very dramatically different than what's in Riverhead. Clearly, there's a need. Riverside, however, should not be the exclusive repository for that need. Although the RAP specifies 2,300 units, and I know in meetings we've mentioned that it should be considerably less than that, your CPF...
30 seconds.
And, you know, as I mentioned, Riverhead's comments should be seriously considered, so I would hope that you'd waive the 3-minute rule for us here. We've been here several times to talk
You're
about
coming on
this
to
issue.
4 minutes. I did
Okay.
Can I say something?
Would you
to
like me to stop?
Yes.
You'd like me to stop?
I'd like to
No,
interrupt you.
no.
Okay, thanks. I
I'm just
appreciate it.
making them aware of the
understand.
time. It's
We
up to them.
appreciate Riverhead's
Yeah,
concern.
we do, but I'd like to ask you a question. You made a remark that Riverhead is gonna take a brunt of the schools. I'm pretty sure all those houses pay school tax.
Okay.
There's
So-
over $1 billion of assessed evaluation that
Yes.
goes to the Riverhead Central School
if you're gonna
District
talk, be
and
fair.
contributes over $12 million to that school as taxpayers in the district. So it's not the
And
town
I'm
of
not here on
Riverhead.
behalf of the Riverhead Central School District. I'm just suggesting to you
Okay.
that
Yeah.
all of the impacts relating to this development, any development in Riverside will be entirely borne by the town of Riverhead. Unless you can think of some that are borne by Southampton, we handle everything from that area. Happily so. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying that when you make big decisions about what happens in Riverhead, you really should be engaging Riverhead in that conversation, which has not happened at all, at all. We've come to you. We've been to you multiple times to ask about this. You have not come to us once. The only way I knew this was happening is I got a notice of an interested party, as an interested party to the seeker review last fall, and I signed on for the notices. There was
I've personally attended a number of meetings with the supervisor in the town.
supervisor,
In Riverhead.
which one?
Well, Laura was one of the,
Laura Jen Smith.
but
But
that was
has
within
the,
the
has
last
the
5
board
years.
connected with our town board?
Yes, we had board members and we had the deputy supervisor at meetings in town hall, in town of Riverhead.
Okay.
And the Riverside Revitalization Plan, Riverhead was invited during the development of that as well.
I'm not, I wasn't there at that point.
Okay,
I'm
they
not
were.
suggesting that
You
that
were.
didn't, that didn't happen. I'm just talking about
We
now
just- We
and
wanna
what's
be
going
fair,
on.
we want you to be fair.
I think I'm doing a very good job of being fair. So your CPF application, CFA application for the STP and the CPF funding application both indicate that in excess of 2,300 units are anticipated, with 50% being attainable. So those are contrary facts to what we're hearing from you. This plan is untenable, given current demographics. We can do better if we put our heads together to make sure that the plan addresses the current conditions, not those that existed 10 years ago. Lastly, Riverhead has questions relating to Riverside master developers selected by Southampton, including understanding what their role is, what the town's contractual relationship is with them, whether they own or control any properties, and how far into the future does that agreement reach, and whether it would impact Southampton's ability to make necessary changes due to new circumstances. Again, we look forward to working with you, and I apologize if I seem frustrated. If you are a resident of Riverhead and lived in Riverhead, you might see things differently. We're here to talk about partnering and making a really good development in Riverside, considering all of the facts and all that we've done. And we've worked very, very hard in Riverhead, and if you would love to come visit, we would give you plans. I'll give you a tour of everything we're doing. The downtown of Riverhead is about to be dramatically changed in the next several years. What we are doing there, what happens in Riverside really matters. And we want to make sure that the both communities who really exist as one entity get the best possible scenario that they can get. And so this process is important, public engagement is important, our participation is important, and so I hope that you will continue to work with us in that direction. Thank you very much.
Ms. Thomas, I have a question for you
Sure.
before you leave the podium. Do you share in our common goal of reducing nitrogen in the Peconic estuary?
Yes, 100%, and in fact-
Because that's one of the driving forces of what we are doing here, and we're
Yes.
going to mitigate a lot of nitrogen, which is, undeniably true.
Undeniably
Okay,
important
good.
and critical, and we've said this many times. We laud the plan
that
to
part I
create the
didn't hear
district.
tonight.
I think, but it needs to be looked at more comprehensively, because if we could get your district to serve the county center, we would gain some of our ability back, and then we could service all the way up West Main Street. And we could stop it at the top. We could stop nitrogen pollution at the top of the river. Right now, it's gonna pass right by this plant if you don't include those.
I asked that same question, because if it was up to me, we would do the county center. But I was told if we stopped and did that, we would put this off for more years, because we would have to refund everything.
And lose the county funding.
Lose the county funding. And that, once we do A, then we can step right up and get grants to do B. That would be the county center. I know you're frustrated because you want the county center. I've been going to Riverhead since I've been a little boy, going to Wellworth, getting the turtles for 25 cents. So I've been around for a long time in Riverhead, and it's always been very good to me. And I know where you're coming from, and we're trying.
I understand,
So
and
we just have to
we
go
did
by
make,
steps.
and I agree, and we did reach out to Janice to see if we could have a joint conversation with EFC.
Yeah.
And I was told that that wasn't possible and that you guys would not change your thought process on it. I think if they would agree to a short delay, we could talk about making the project even better.
Lot
And
of
that's
these
all we're
funds-
asking.
I think
A lot of this-
Riverside has waited so many
Yeah.
years to put this off again would just be.
I'm not talking about a long time, I'm talking about, it's not a big
We
deal.
always
to
say it's
just
not a long
loop
time
it
in government, and it always ends up being
It's
a
too
long
long.
time.
Yes, I understand that, believe me. Okay, well, thank you
Thank
very,
you.
I know, and as long as it will be, as long as we anticipate it would be until the county center would be included, and that's as long as we'll have to wait for what we're entitled to,
Yes,
so.
we understand. Unless something happens, you never know.
But we did meet a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, too, you and I. And,
Yes.
We talked about that 2,300 number and that it's no longer reflected as such in the seeker, and it's more like 1,600, which is still a lot, but it's something that we're gonna be reviewing with the overlay district, and, the numbers can change because we hear what you're saying. We don't wanna overburden the community.
Yeah, well, we certainly appreciate the interface, and, we look forward to further opportunities to do that, but we have to say what we have to say, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a
Good
great
seeing you.
day.
Thank you.
Janice wants to come up. May I answer? Come up, so.
person, but I just want to make something very clear, and that is that in the findings, if we're going to bring up the findings from the first SECRA, they talk about different alternatives, and we went with alternative 1, which is not 23 or 2,500, it's 1,160 units, and then we're talking about 682 units of existing homes. So we're not, this notion that we're putting amazing density here is not actually true, and we're very much committed to right-sizing this. We've talked to Riverhead. The supervisor and Dawn had came here. We had a meeting to talk to them. The only reason why we didn't have a meeting with EFC with them is because I called EFC and said, it was email, but I said, can we have a meeting with Riverhead about the deadlines? And they said, this is a very firm deadline. If you miss the June 14th financing application deadline, you will lose your grants. This is not a joke. This is $19 million. This doesn't happen every day. So I just need to, we have $31 million lined up to do this. So it's very difficult to say, we're not doing this now, or we should wait. We would like to then do it right. If you're going to include the county center, then you need to look at, okay, what is the actual flow? They told us 100,000. At the Pine Barrens Commission, the supervisor Hubbard told us it was 200,000 because they make you do an expansion. That's the entire flow for phase 1. Outside of what's existing, that's the revitalization flow. So therefore you wouldn't achieve your objective. So we want to say, okay, wait a minute. We might want to do that. We're not shutting the door on that option, but we have to look at it. We have to talk to the county. They are actually not even aware of this. We're having this whole back and forth about this, but where's the county? They're not even in the room. So it has to happen at a later phase. We're happy to look at it comprehensively at a later phase. And it's just a matter of, not wanting to overwhelm anything. And personally, as a taxpayer in the Riverhead School District, I would also agree that, we don't want all these too much density, but at the same time, everybody just wants to understand that how can we relate to Riverhead in a most appropriate way, being the town of Southampton and the river and the Peconic Estuary, and make this a beautiful place that everyone will be happy with. So that's our objective. That's what we're looking to do, and we're happy to work with Riverhead to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janice.
Thank you.
So, what would be the date of our next meeting? So I would, is there anybody else that didn't fill out a card that would like to speak?
Go on Zoom.
Oh, yeah, Gail wants to.
So I'm listening to the comments, and again, I know you guys are working in Hampton Bays with the same consultant. I won't bring up the fact that on that map, that might be 30 Cemetery Road again, but that's besides the point. But to this gentleman's comments, that he was first hearing about it, and thank you, Cindy, for sending, I was here when you mentioned about those postcards, and you went through with it. The fact that he's here, and he's got a point. you know, you put this in service, the development doesn't go through, who's gonna pay the maintenance costs? Now you're saying, as Supervisor Moore, that the town of Southampton is gonna pick up a year or two for the benefit till the development goes in, it sounds like. So, I don't know what the total annual cost of maintaining that. What if the development doesn't go through? Is that gentleman now gonna be paying $3,000 for maintenance?
It's
I don't know.
$225
I
a
know
year.
that, but does that include then the 1,100 upon, their piece of it? Or that is,
No,
so that's
that's the maximum number.
It's locked in, Gail.
it's
That
locked in
price-
for the
that
600
price is-
units,
that's
so
what I was told.
so this gentleman will not be paying
No,
more than
that's what
200.
it's very considered.
Well,
about
that's an
the price.
average based on the size and your usage. So if you
Yeah.
have a giant house and your usage, that's for, that's taking the aggregate of all those 600 properties and basically taking.
So
So
600.
some will pay more than 200, some will pay less than 200.
So if I'm understanding, 600 times 200, my partner's an accountant, what's the math on that? That's the total amount that it's gonna cost to run that?
Well, if you have a house with 6 bedrooms.
No, but
and
you're saying there's
using-
700,
You're using like 50,000 gallons of water a month, you're gonna pay more.
I
But if
understand.
you have an average 3-bedroom house using 1,000 gallons, you're gonna pay no more than $225.
I mean, I'm trying to do the
or
math
less.
in my head. We have 700 houses, let's say by $300. What is that, you know, $210,000? I can't do the math that quick. But is that so you're saying that's all it's gonna cost to run the sewer district every
No.
year? It's not in the
It's gonna have to be
millions?
subsidized.
What is it? I do the math, I can't do the math. But that's what I'm saying, so I think this gentleman's point should
Janice
not,
can answer that.
what is,
Janice will answer that.
what's the total amount what's the annual cost to run the sewer district?
She has to get up there to speak after you get down.
No.
The annual operating costs are, it's probably $1 million a year. We're not saying we're dividing that by 600 people. There's obviously revitalization going on to account for that operation and maintenance. So we're going to proportionally distribute the operation and maintenance costs. And as the supervisor mentioned earlier, you are wanting to put a couple of million or $1 million in upfront to cover that upfront operation and maintenance costs. In addition, we're looking to ask for congressional appropriations, for that cost. As users come online, the operation and maintenance costs go down. I also want to note that Len Marchese is on Zoom, who is our financial consultant, who did all these numbers. So if you do have a specific accounting
do have a
question for
question
Len,
for him.
he can come on. Thank you.
I actually do have a question for Len, if we could bring him on.
Yes, let's, Kevin, please.
Hi, Len.
Hi.
I have a question. It was mentioned that we are using CPF property for a new development. Can you basically explain why we're not doing that?
No, we're not. We're using CPF funds for existing flow up to the extent that we took an average of the current water flow that they use from Suffolk County Water, and that amounts to about 27% of the cost. So, consistent with CPF law, we're gonna use 27% of the construction cost is gonna be offset by CPF money.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And perhaps you could also speak to the operation and maintenance charges. There's some concern
Yeah.
about that.
Oh, yeah, okay. O&M is based on your usage, so, we're considering offsetting the O&M costs from the whole town because we benefit from a clean bay, with a transfer from the general fund. to help offset those operating costs. And then we're gonna charge based on the annual usage, and we anticipate about $225 a year for the average user. So some will be higher, some will be lower, but we're anticipating about $225 a household.
But is that based on full capacity at the plant, the 400,000 gallons per day, or is that the initial use?
No, that's based on the full capacity right now.
So then it won't go down? I mean, if the
Well,
plant isn't fully being utilized, then you just divide the cost to operate it by the number of users. So the more users, the less the cost would be. So we're just trying to understand, is this 225 based on, the initial existing properties that are gonna be treated, or assuming a full build-out with the 400,000 gallons per day?
We're assuming that it's gonna be existing homeowners, and, the thing with the additional build-out is you're just gonna have more volume in the system. So, it's still gonna be based on like $225. I mean, that's like half the price of a regular sewer system throughout the whole Suffolk County. So that's still a very good rate. I mean, unless we charge different rates for new hookups, which I don't think we can, I think that that's gonna be the average rate for everybody in the district, other than commercial.
All right, well, I'll have to think about that, and I'll get back to you if I have a follow-up question. Anybody have any other questions for Len?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Len.
Len.
Okay.
Kevin, is anybody else online that would like to speak?
Hello, Board Supervisor. This is Sean McLean. I'm a representative and member of Renaissance Downtown, a master developer in the Riverside Rediscovered effort. I just want to let everybody know that the office has been continuously open for 10 years at 102 Conic Avenue. It remains open for anybody who wants to come and meet with us and talk about this development from 10 to 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That includes members of the town board and the town attorney. That's about all I have to say. I want to make sure that everybody was well aware. We're here, we're present, we're active, we have been so continuously, and we continue to be so. We plan to be here for the long term.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, great. Well, if no one else has any other questions, then I'll move to hold the, well, as a fellow, come on, fellow municipality courtesy.
I appreciate the opportunity. Since we were talking about flows and how they relate to where the district is going, and I appreciate the fact that it's a dynamic situation, I just want to highlight to you in the sanitary flow projections, because this is a moving target for me, that in the original flows, 171,072 gallons per day were the original existing condition flows, which have now, for this just phase one district, has been, through a hybrid model, moved up to 287,000 gallons per day of flow. And that leaves you only 113,000 for any redevelopment or new development that is considered in your map and plan. The original total, 709,000, which was part of the EIS and stated here in the map and plan, gave you 538,000 for redevelopment. That was bumped up without too much of an explanation to 800,000. So my question, and it's been there from the beginning, is really what is the existing flow? And in response to the councilman's concern about water quality, if you look at the maps, these areas on the outskirts, Phase 2, they are closest to the most sensitive wetlands and Little Peconic River to the west and sensitive wetlands to the east. So it's almost as if the Phase 2 might have been considered for Phase 1. I appreciate the high density that you have, especially at the trailer parks and the mobile homes.
And they're well
Perhaps
within the
that's
1
what
to
was
2 year
considered.
travel time. That
Pardon?
entire district is within the 1 to 2 year travel time.
Which Phase 2?
Subaqueous
No,
water
whole-
travel into the bay. So,
Well, I don't know, the wetlands are here. And the wetlands are Little Peconic River is here. So one would think these cesspools
No.
here are more in danger. If you look at a Google map, or you look at the map and plan aerial.
well,
uh,
I don't think you
you'll see
understand
that.
my statement. I said that entire district is within the 1 to 2 year travel time of subaqueous water from the time when water hits the ground and when it goes into the
estuary,
Peconic.
right.
Yeah.
Well, you
Okay.
said that Phase 1 was really being promoted. I mean, we all agree the whole Phase 1 and 2.
I guess I was referring to the entire district and our
The entire
shared
district is
concern
important,
with the
but I would
estuary.
think that
So-
from the environmental water quality issue, the Phase 2 areas are in the shorter travel times than perhaps the Phase 1. And I fully understand.
You could probably speak
that-
to the engineering of, using the centralized development first rather than the outskirts.
Well, you also have a high
you know.
density there in
Yeah.
some of that. I appreciate that, but that's why I'm hoping you will approve the entire district and then just subpart out what you want to build within a particular time frame with the funds that you have applied for. You could approve everything and just say that's our district, but our construction schedule is based upon getting the plant up, getting certain people hooked up, because actually, if you look closely, you have some sanitary gravity-fed systems available to those parcels in Phase 2, but as you can see by the color on the map, one's in, one's out, a few are in, a few are out. With costs going up in the future, it might be intelligent to hook them up sooner, if the capacity is there for the plant. And I know that's, as I said, a little confusing at this point to put a handle on.
By the way,
Thank you.
By the way, the wetlands are to the north.
The rivers.
There are some brooks and tributaries on the eastern edge.
The main of it's on the north.
Where did you see that 280,000 number? Because I was told that the existing flow, what I read said 200,000, unless that changed along the way.
It is in section 3.1
Of the,
of the map and plan on the last paragraph. It is page 11. The result of the hybrid model is approximately 287,000 gallons per day of existing flow available, with an allowable capacity of 113,000 gallons per day for redevelopment and revitalization. So perhaps the engineers can answer that question for you.
So
Thank
you're an employee of the town of Riverhead, and they're paying you to
No, I'm not an
study-
employee. I'm a consultant to the town board of the town of Riverhead
Oh,
as their
okay,
environmental
consultant,
consultant.
okay. And they're, in your capacity as a consultant, the town of Riverhead is paying you to evaluate our project?
No, actually, I'm evaluating the entire project because the town of Riverhead is interested in finding out why you don't have the capacity to bring in the county in Phase 1. So, of course, I'm going to look at everything and every avenue to qualify whether or not the capacities that are being stated are available. I know eventually it'll be an 800,000 gallon per day facility. My projection is probably going to go to at least 900,000 when you're done. But
you identified that you were from
responsible
the town
to-
of Riverhead.
Pardon?
You identified yourself as representing the Riverhead Town
That's
Board
correct.
earlier. But you're a consultant that is hired by the town of Riverhead, and you're just doing this because,
No,
I'm trying to get,
Oh.
understand the town of Riverhead and their role here and your
I'm the
role.
environmental, on what we call an open service agreement consultant to the town board and any other department that requires environmental professional services from me. So the town board has retained me to evaluate the Riverside
thank you.
treatment plant in the district to see whether or not you can accept this flow. So of course, I'm going to go through your documents to qualify the accuracy, which I think everybody is seeking, to advise them whether or not there really is capacity. But when the numbers change, it's a little difficult for me to get back to them and let them know what may or may not be available either now or in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, move to hold the meeting over, the public hearing over to the April 9th meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, could you please
See you
read the
then.
second public hearing?
Public hearing number 2, to consider terminating the Hampton Bays Waterfront Revitalization Urban Renewal Plan as it relates to the property located at 20 Shinnecock Road, Hampton Bays.
Thank you, Supervisor and members of the town board. Good evening. Kelly Doyle, Assistant Town Attorney. As indicated in the public hearing notice, the purpose of this hearing is to consider terminating the Hampton Bays Waterfront Revitalization Plan. I'll refer to that as a plan, so I don't have to keep saying that over and over again. So by way of background, the plan was adopted by a prior town board in April 2019 pursuant to Article 15 of the General Municipal Law. That is the New York State Urban Renewal Law. This particular plan was adopted for the property located at 20 Shinnecock Road, Hampton Bays, depicted here on the aerial. And this was the site of a former Bel Air Cove Motel. The property is approximately 1.43 acres. It's situated mostly in the residential zoning district. There's a portion down here in the resort waterfront zoning district. The Bel Air Cove Motel was a pre-existing non-conforming motel use, and over time it had deteriorated. It turned actually into an illegal housing use. There were numerous code violations, overcrowding, unsafe housing conditions, environmental concerns, electrical safety, fire hazard. And also the property is situated partially along Penny Pond here, and we have the water right here, so that is another factor to consider when you have unsanitary conditions. So the plan was to transform this former waterfront hotel into some type of boutique hotel or boutique resort condominium, essentially something that would contribute towards the tourism in Hampton Bays, and also create employment opportunities and support local shops and restaurants. So in summary, I won't go through every detailed plan, but it provided that the town would acquire the property. The town was going to confirm the sanitary density and make application for a new IA system and put that in place. And then the town would go through the RFP process and evaluate different design proposals and then select a final design that was agreed upon. Then the town would go through the bid auction process and eventually sell the property to a private developer who would proceed with the selected plan. It would be transferred with deed restrictions restricting what could be done on the property, and it would have to be in accordance with the approved design plan. So the first part of it, the town actually acquired the property in December 2019, and then the town began working with the health department on the septic matters. And then, unfortunately, we had the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020, which, as we all know, had a profound impact on not only health, but also the construction industry and real estate. So that, delayed the project, had a big impact on it. So although the timeline was delayed, the town did eventually receive design proposals in response to requests. And there were work sessions that were held to review and discuss these proposals. Eventually, it was narrowed down to two viable proposals. They were the subject of a special public hearing. The first one was a senior housing condominium with accessory improvements and amenities. The second one was a condo hotel with accessory improvements and amenities. One was 16 units, one was 12 units. So during and after that special public hearing, there were numerous comments received from the community, including, the Hampton Bays community, and there was a strong opposition to any private development of this property. And the more favorable use was for something more passive, such as a park. So the prior town board ultimately found that it was in the best interest of the town to cancel the RFP and reject all proposals for private development of the property. So now that brings us to where we are today. So at this point, if there is no intent to sell the property to a private developer in the future at all, then the urban renewal plan should be terminated. And then the town can move on with the park use and focus on what type of park use you would like to do there. So you won't be locked into this plan. Part of terminating the plan would involve forgiving the loan to acquire the property. A total of $1.2 million was allocated from the general fund and deposited into a dedicated account just for the revitalization plan for this property. The total that was actually expended from the account is $1,101,466. So that is the actual amount that will have to be forgiven. And as far as future plans for this property, if there's going to be any conveyance to CPF, of course, that would be subject to a future public hearing. The purpose tonight is just to focus on terminating the urban renewal plan, but there are discussions of possibly a portion going to CPF and a portion remaining parkland. The benefit to that would be that you could do certain things on the town park parcel part of the property that you couldn't do on CPF, such as farmers markets and gatherings, things like that. But again, there's nothing definitive right now. That has to be subject to a future public hearing. One last note before I move on, we do not have a resolution of adoption on the agenda tonight. That is because we are still waiting for the planning referral comments and Suffolk County Planning Commission comments. So if the board was so inclined to close the hearing tonight, I would recommend leaving it open for written comment for at least 10 days.
Kelly, I have a couple of questions about the unit back in previous to 2019. You mentioned that it was like kind of an illegal housing, right? We looked at their C of O, and it was a very brief description, and I think it said transient motel use.
Yes.
Or something like, I think it was 3 words, which really gave the owner standing to have people living in that structure for, the time that they were there.
Right, yes,
Right.
and they
So
actually
that-
did have more units than they were allowed to have, though.
Right, they had
And-
22 units, code violations, we know that, overcrowding, it was a situation.
Right.
Do we have any numbers on how many people were living there at the time and using,
Off the top of my head, I don't. I can look and see if I can
right,
find
and
that
that's
number.
okay. It was quite a few,
It
at
was
least,
quite a few.
And
I do
then,
recall that,
through attrition, through various means, other people were placed in different living situations, which took a couple of years, to do this.
Now, fire marshal's office, including the chief fire marshal, was at the site many times and had deep concerns about what was happening on that site. So that was a real concern of ours, and that was one of the motivations to do what we did.
Right, when I came into the shop, that's the part of the challenge that we were facing, with the Bel Air Motel.
Yep.
And so, but they also did have that certificate of occupancy use where they could actually have people living in that structure. But it was a challenge, and, okay.
And again, it was a pre-existing use. It wasn't something that, you know, a permit was just given recently for it. It was pre-existing, so that's, under existing, I don't think that they would have, you know, had as many units as they did have there.
Right, and it was an antiquated septic system, and that was part of the problem too, with the amount of people that were in there, in addition to the living conditions.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? The public?
So Kelly, just to reiterate, so this step that we're taking, we're going to keep it open so that the public has time to weigh in. But this step that we're taking is to follow through on some of what the community had expressed to the previous town board, that they would not like to see this property developed into a hotel of some kind, and to ensure that it is essentially a park, possibly with some flexibility in terms of maybe what kind of events can be held on the property. But this is just the next step in bringing down the buildings that exist there.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Okay.
The next step after that is a public hearing to put the land over to CPS and to us and to.
Well, if
Well,
there's
park.
going to be maybe all of it or a portion of it transferred to CPF, then that would be subject to a separate public hearing.
Yes, that's next.
Yep.
Hopefully
And
soon.
can we schedule that public hearing, or does it have to wait until,
Let's go to the planning board, right?
No,
You can go ahead and
Yeah.
schedule it, yeah.
once, after the wedding period.
Well, oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, we do
so
it
if the waiting period is 10 days,
Yeah.
we could schedule that public hearing for the 8th also?
No, we don't have a
Oh,
notice of public hearing
yes.
on. We don't have a notice of public hearing to put on.
We
just
put
say
the
it?
notice on.
No, we need a resolution to notice it, correct, Cindy? I'm sorry.
Like a
We
walk,
need
can
a
we do a
resolution.
walk-on resolution tonight to schedule a public hearing for April 8th?
I would want to also
That's
talk
a
to.
legal question, quite frankly.
Well, I would also like to talk to Jackie Fenlon, the CPF
Probably.
director, to
So
make
would
sure,
the
because.
town
I would
she-
wait until we have the comments to schedule a public hearing, because we haven't gotten any of the planning commission's comments. I mean, not that I think they're gonna be substantive, but I think to schedule a public hearing before we close this one and have
Any
it.
comments? I agree. And just on this particular measure, do we have a timeline in terms of once this is closed? When then does the town act to, take down the buildings? And do we have sort of a rough idea of when that will at least begin?
As soon as this hearing is closed, then we can just go ahead and, we actually, I believe we did receive proposals. I'd have to check with our town engineer. But we could put the demolition out to bid and.
We actually can't. CPF said they can't put it out, they can't put the
Until they
RFP out
own it.
until they own the building, until. they
Oh,
own
okay,
it.
so if any portion is going to go to CPF, then we would have to wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have engineering department has had
Asbestos removal
costs,
plan.
well, and also cost of demolition. They do have an idea of what it's, they have a number as to what the demolition costs are gonna be, including the removal of this, proper removal of the asbestos.
Yeah, the prior board authorized a
Asbestos removal
company
plan.
to give us give us a plan for the removal of the asbestos, so that's done already.
Right.
And we have an estimate of what it'll cost to demolish the building and abandon the septic, but we can't go out to bid on that to get a contractor until we donate the property.
That is true,
CPF.
yes. If any portion is going to be, all of it or a portion of it, that is true, yes. We do have to wait for CPF
With-
to actually acquire it.
We're just as much of a big rush as the people.
Yeah, we
We
just
wanna
want to
make
get it
great
done.
I understand, yes, it's
We
been a
wanna
long
get this
time.
done, right,
and-
Ray?
But this is the first step in the right direction, and then, as soon, I will definitely get in touch, with CPF, with Jackie Fenlon, and discuss, planning the public hearing
How we're gonna
for
fund
the acquisition of a portion or all of the property.
Different surveys already
Okay.
show different ones, which one we want.
I just wish we could schedule a public hearing, because then we can't even, go out to bid until we actually schedule a public hearing.
Well, it's still
Have
gotta go to
that.
the planning board for the division of the property, and we've got a ways. I mean, like I said, government's never fast. I'm hoping by Christmas.
Oh, Jim, that's right.
And that's
You were
done
gonna
on
talk
purpose.
to the planning board, right, about getting it on the agenda for this one lot
Yeah, we even
subdivision.
talked about whether it actually needs planning board approval. I can follow up with Janice, but we thought maybe in this situation, it's not, we're not dividing into separate lots, so it could be handled administratively. It might not have to even, it's still going to be owned by the town of Southampton, both sides, so it's not a
Right.
subdivision in the true sense of the word as we usually think of as a subdivision. So.
Whatever we have to do.
Right.
let's just do it.
Kelly, could you just indicate on the map where the trustee property resides?
Oh, yes, so this is a separate, this is trustee property right here.
Okay.
It's actually trustee recreation.
Okay.
And then this portion right here is also trustee.
Okay.
And there's a bulkhead right here.
Okay.
I
And we
believe
were talking about a north-south division so that the property that has the building would be then under the CPF jurisdiction and they could arrange for the demolition.
there were two possible options. One was one side would be town, one side would be CPF. The other one was that this portion down here would be CPF and this portion would be town. So that would have to be confirmed and talked about at the public hearing just for that topic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we have some cards here. Gail Lombardi, would you like to come up and speak, please?
So first, I want to thank this board for trying to clean up the mess that was created by the previous board and the land use mess that we come across often. So before I continue, I just want to state for the record that, of course, I'm in favor of the formation, the termination of the Hampton Bays Waterfront Revitalization Plan as it relates to the Bel Air. However, I am concerned about that, the forgiveness of debt costing taxpayers more than it needs to, so the town should do what's most cost-effective. It had support of the previous community for 100% CPF purchase, so I'm hoping that's still on the table. All the facts and law and the community involvement supported 100% CPF back in the day. I think it's important to understand a little bit about the history, though, of what happened, and I think Ms. Doyle explained it very well. This was a blighted motel that was being used full-time. The town, before even Supervisor Schneiderman, was incapable of handling the code enforcement and the zoning. I don't think the owner ever paid a cent of fines, and we had this conversation. In fact, any fines were waived during the purchase. And so the alternative was on, and Mary Payson is here, my partner is here, Ray D'Angelo was the chairperson of the Civic Association, and I lost my picture. Jay Schneiderman, on September 24th, 2018, showed up to the CAC with this picture, passing it around to the CAC, a room full of 50 people, as if we were kindergarten people, and it was show and tell. This is what could happen at the Bel Air if you let us buy it. So we all stood there in amazement. Diana Ware, his then housing czar, swore, I wish I had a Bible, that any day, the governor is going to give us approval to have a community development agency, and we're going to buy this under the community development agency. Well, the governor vetoed it. So then, out of the air, the land use department decided to develop, where it came from, nobody knows, the Hampton Bays downtown, or the Hampton Bays waterfront revitalization plan. We were all like flabbergasted. Where this come from, why it is here, and then the debates and the public hearings that we were all at. Mary and her team, continued with all of that died for a while, and then it was resurrected with those two proposals, and then you had, 2,000 signatures on
Gail,
petitions.
can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
It's all history. We want to move forward.
No, that's what I'm saying. So
It's, unfortunately, we cannot repay the debt with CPS fund. They will not buy it from us. We have to donate it to.
Okay.
So the town is
So-
off, the town people by their former board's mistake. This board is have to pay.
So
for it.
whatever way is most cost beneficial, and the
Yes.
reason I'm saying this is, again, I go back to the fact this is cautionary tale with this board of what happens in our land use process. We're here today because 7 years of people trying to do what they shouldn't be doing is why we're here today. And I'd love to say that this is the poster child, but it is not. There is plenty of poster children still out there that this board is going to have to fix, which is unfair to you, but it is what it is. And I know you know, Mr. Pell, you knew, I get that, and we're all trying to do it. But why I keep coming up here is because these are cautionary tales. Why we're here today, why you're fixing, why we're costing the town $1.2 million for no good reason, is because years of incompetent, ineffective leadership. So I'm hoping this board this is a first step, and I appreciate that. But that's why I want to go back a little over history.
Thank
It
you.
was a joke.
Okay, no
And so I
problem.
appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Pazan. Pazan. Hazen.
Calling me Mary. The previous supervisor used to call me Mary.
Hello, Mary.
Like, Mary? Who put Mary? I didn't want to marry him, but, you know, kept saying it anyway. So my name's Mary Pazan. I'm from Hampton Bays, and I've been involved in the Battle of the Bel Air since its birth, its conception. I fully support the resolution. I do have a few language changes that I think make some of the background a little clear, but they're in this letter that I will leave. I don't want to go over all of those today. It's interesting, you prepare comments and then you hear other people and then you go, you know, they're right. When we brought our lawsuit, which was dismissed, the judge said that this plan was an aspirational goal and he fully expected to see us in court again. If you Google aspirational goal, it's a goal you cannot achieve. It's a nice pipe dream. This project was not viable from the beginning, and it's not viable now, and that building needs to come down. I'm sorry to all the hardworking people of the town, and I know they're all well-intentioned, but this violated from the very beginning the sanitary code of the Suffolk County Department of Health Services. The environmental assessment form wasn't even signed. Come on. So this plan wasn't going to, this wasn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I'm really happy that you all have decided, perhaps, to terminate the plan. I kind of agree, sympathize with the people from Riverhead. I mean, they said a few things that kind of hit home here. The secret process, like I said, wasn't even signed. The lack of transparency, the documents that say one thing and the statements that say something else. I mean, there is a disconnect going on somewhere. I don't know where it is. The town spent an enormous amount of resources and tax funds to prepare and then defend a plan that is not feasible under the law. Understand, we can disagree on that. The community spent an enormous amount of time. If I had $1 for every time I was here about Bel Air, I could buy a Lamborghini without a loan. I mean, it's been kind of ridiculous. I haven't been involved with all the town projects, but my experience in Hampton Bays with Bel Air, the downtown development, and the BES really raises serious questions about the town's compliance with the laws, its commitment to the environment, its responsibility to maintain town-owned properties, and its commitment to the people. That the town has failed to do anything at the Bel Air for the last 5 years is a disgrace, really. It's an insult to the community. It's a dereliction of duties to maintain your property, and it does contribute to the great loss of respect for government that is rampant in this country. We have 4 new board members, and there's an opportunity here to address the repeated deficiencies and failures of the town's environmental reviews, as well as procedures for review and approvals of other processes. It's also a chance for the town board to regain the trust and confidence of the constituents it is supposed to serve and the voters who put you all here in the first place.
30 seconds.
I hope the board takes advantage of these opportunities. I thank the 4 of you for sponsoring the resolution. And as you know, voters have memories. And what happens with the Bel Air will be remembered at the next election, whether it's a board election
or whether it's an election for another elected office in the state of New York. Thank you.
Mary, let me say one thing.
Yes.
I'd be quick.
No,
Michael's
that's
gonna be
fine.
with me. When they got demolition the building, you know how the politicians go with a shovel?
Groundbreaking.
Yeah, we're gonna be there with hammers to help knock it
Oh,
down.
good. You know, I'm waiting.
And after they clean out the asbestos?
Yeah, they gotta get the
They
asbestos.
gotta
out.
clean that stuff.
Well, I know my time is up, but, hopefully, I'm not being paranoid, but I don't know if anyone inspects that building. I live over there. It's falling down. And if it falls down and that asbestos goes all over on a windy day, well, that's going to be quite a situation, won't it? So I thank you for paying attention to the Bel Air, and I look forward to seeing you on that day.
Yes.
I would offer to, no, I can't offer you anything,
it's
sorry.
fine.
That would be very appropriate. So, thank you.
I'm sure the prior board, acted with good intentions, and there was a perception that we were told that the community wanted it a certain way, and then things changed over time. And while we're here, we're responding, I should say, rather. This is what we think is the appropriate thing to do, and we're moving forward as quickly as possible to have the building removed.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to that. There was a palpable request from the Hampton Bays community to keep properties on the tax roll. And that, I'm speaking to the rest of the board at this particular time, Madam Supervisor. And, so that's one of the things that we were looking at, in addition to the squalid conditions that were currently in existence. And this was the plan that we were doing. And so the $45,000 or so that would get thrown off through taxes, we were assured by the community that was okay for that to not necessarily be on the tax rolls anymore. And so I do support this, and supported doing away with the RFP back last year. So
Thank you.
I'm just sad that after we finally got to the point where we were going to listen to the community, and we were going to donate to CPF, and we were going to get the building down, I think it was like we're now another, 9 months into having to have a 12th go-round on if this was really what the community wanted and what use should we use it for the community. So I'm just happy that we are getting this done.
Yeah. And you can tell from the conversation we had earlier that we want to get it done as quickly as possible.
Yep.
Ray D'Angelo?
Good evening, Supervisor Moore, council people. I just want to, you're right, I don't want to go over history, but I want to, Mr. Schiavone made a comment about how he had the right to rent the apartments that he did. This started back with me in 2017. The
didn't say
motel was
that.
being used for single-room occupancies, SROs.
Oh.
Okay?
Not me, the owner.
The owner was. Okay. Well, of course, I wouldn't think that you would do that, but.
Oh, you said me.
Well, you were the one that said just now that he could do it because he had that wording in there, and he couldn't do what he did because he made it single-room occupancy, which is the most heavily regulated occupancy, and even in New York State law. In New York City fire code, you have to have a fire watch and everything else because you have a transient population and, a lot of drug use, alcoholism. And what happening there, because I used to go down there, is you had whole families living in one little room. And they used to have auxiliary heating systems because it was a summer hotel. And contrary to what you said, many times I went to Mr. Steinerman and explained this to him. I would be considered an expert witness, okay? I did inspections, 28 years in New York City Fire Department. I knew exactly what I was talking about. And we didn't get action to this. I said, you're going to have a fire there some night. It's a cold winter night, and you're going to lose 5 or 6 kids. And this went on and on. Finally, after 3 or 4 years, because his retort was, I don't want to make things worse, they came up with this plan, his plan. And we were here at those hearings begging him to have the Community Preservation Fund buy the property. the Civic, the CAC, and he wouldn't do it. So I cannot defend his actions. I don't think he did it in good faith. I don't know what was motivating him, but he came up with this plan, and this is the disaster that we ended up with, that there's $1.5 million out. The other thing that I have a problem with, I thought this was all resolved, that the Community Preservation Fund was going to get the property. I don't know where this new Winko's coming up from and who's brought it up.
The what?
But we had demonstrations, we had petitions, a million times we were up here. I don't know why we have to refight this thing now. Again, I don't understand this.
What do you think you're refighting? I don't.
Well,
I
why
think
can't the
mine is
community
misunderstood.
preservation, why do we have to decide whether it's going to be divided or not?
Can I tell you why? I want to do it, okay? You can blame me. I brought it to the board. Because I'm looking for the future of the kids. I'm 64, you're probably somewhere around my age. It would be fine with.
I'm
the whole thing was-
74.
Okay, you got me by a couple of years. It'd be fine if the whole thing was a park, okay? But you don't know what the future brings for our kids. They might want to have a food fair there. They might want to have some type of activity there. When it's all CPF, there's so much restriction, they can't do it, okay? That's why it leaves half the property open to, it can only be a park, but there's more of uses as a park.
I
Well, that's
respectfully
important.
disagree.
I don't think we made that
I
clear.
respectfully
It can only
disagree
be
with you.
used as a
Look,
park.
And
I'll
another
park
thing
over-
too is, it could be used as a spoil site if we have to dredge that, I mean, Chip might want to get on this later, for,
Spoils of dredging
To
from
dredge
the.
the canal.
yeah.
the little-
that'd
But
be
why would
part
you
of
want
it.
to put the spoils there? I mean, it's contaminated, I mean, really.
If it's, it first has to be approved.
If
spoil.
it's CPF, Good Ground Park is CPF, right?
Yeah.
And there are plenty of activities there. We have concerts there. We have, take my grandchildren there to learn how to ride bikes. They got the gym there.
Yeah.
And, the monkey bars, I don't know what they call it today. So there's plenty of activities there. I just think it's unconscionable to have this delay again. I have pictures from us and letters that I wrote from 2019. I'd be happy to share them with you. Again, this is just simply outrageous that this is going to go on for another 9 months. And I was up here, I think it was the night with the Joe Bonanno crime family contract was taken out on us. And one of the things I had to push was that the place was completely open. It had to be boarded up. I think you were here that night, and you guys did board it up. But it's been neglected, and I agree with Mary. I identified with those people from Riverhead because we're in Hampton Bays. It's complete disconnect. I'll tell you another thing. Like for example, you recently were part of a panel about the Westwood property. I was really taken back at that panel. Not one person on that panel lived in Hampton Bays. I think that's
Come on.
outrageous.
Look, the Southampton Press puts the panel together.
Well,
That has
then,
nothing to do with us.
maybe you were on the panel. Why don't you say, well, don't you think we should have somebody from Hampton Bays? I mean, you're the supervisor.
They invited me to be on the panel.
Well,
that's all.
you're very capable, right? So you could have said, maybe you should have somebody. I could have provided those people.
But
Though at the,
right. So we're working on the first step, right? And this is a good first
excuse me,
step.
this is not the first step. Maybe for you, this is like 8 years of my life with this
I get
thing.
that. I get
okay?
that.
8 years of my life, maybe 9 years for.
Which is why this is a great first
Gail.
step, because you've been at this for a long time, and we are responding. Now, you have valid concerns about the breakup of the property and what that will look like. We're not there yet, so I appreciate your comments today because you're letting me know where you're at with that, and hopefully we can all have a discussion at some point on how we will move forward. And that next public hearing will certainly allow us to have a much more fuller.
And delay the process
Discussion.
even longer, though, right?
Either way, we have to have a public hearing, and we're in just as much of a big rush as you are.
Yeah,
I
whether we
mean,
don't
I
make
was
a-
against this when he first bought it, when Jay said he was gonna buy it. I was up in his office, and he almost threw me out. I said, don't buy it, the town's not
I doubt he'd throw you out, though.
Yeah, me and Jay did not see
Yeah.
eye to eye all
Mr.
the time.
Schneiderman didn't look like, he could throw anybody out.
Well, let's just say that we can't,
I'm totally against any kind of violence.
As I said at the Civic, I think the whole thing should just go to CPF because there's no parking
Yeah, but like you
on
said-
that road to do any
Okay, but like
events
you
at
said, the
that-
Civic, the Chamber of Commerce has raised its ugly head here and got involved in this thing. Let's face it, I don't know how the heck they got involved in this over there. It's made up of real estate agents and people that are in business that, they have an interest in this, a monetary interest in this, in doing these things. I always say in all my writings, I say everybody should benefit from development in Hampton Bays. That's not always the case. So really, I mean, my point is always been that this is what the community wanted. We fought over this. We had demonstrations. We had petitions and everything. And here we are again going backwards. I'm sorry. This might be a beginning for you, but it's 8 years for me. Okay, I just want to read this letter and I want to make it part of the record. It's regarding Town Board Resolution 2024-348, public hearing to consider termination of Hampton Bays waterfront revitalization plan as it relates to the property located at 20 Shinnecock Road, Hampton Bays, the Bel Air Cove Hotel. Dear Supervisor Moore, members of the Town Board, the Hampton Bays Civic Association supports Town Board Resolution 2024-348, the proposal to develop the waterfront property into luxury condominiums or boutique hotels was publicly introduced by then Supervisor Steinerman in September 2018. That's roughly 6 years ago. As the lengthy record indicates, the proposal was met with immediate and continuing opposition. Individual community groups, the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, and even the Town Planning Board all voiced a preference for open space. The community gathered for unprecedented demonstrations at the site and gathered thousands of signatures on a petition that called for open space. Please for the preservation of property, however, fell on deaf ears. On behalf of the Civic Association, I thank you for listening to addressing the community's concerns and for supporting the aforementioned resolution. With continued progress by the Town Board, the wish for preservation of the property can be realized in the near future. Maybe sometime before I die. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna put this in. You gotta understand the frustration I hear, really. Coming here, talking to him on my own, I said, we're gonna lose 5 or 6 kids here some night.
But don't take it out on us, because we're trying.
I'm not taking it out on him. You're a big guy. I'm not taking it out on you. I'm sure.
step back. This
We're going forward. And once we get going, I'm not afraid to go to Janice's deck and get the paper from there, move it over there, because I have done it today. Ask Jim. Is he still here? Oh, he left.
Jim's still here.
Ask him. I moved some papers off his desk today, because I thought he was moving too slow.
Ray, let me have your papers.
We have a lot of hope in you, Bill. We really do. I want to invite you to the next Civic Association meeting. My wife says I should be polite. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Ray.
That's the fireman.
Kevin, is anybody online that would like to speak?
No one on Zoom.
I mean, none of us want to have to write off the loan. If we could sell it and get money from the Community Preservation Fund, we would, but it's illegal to do it. And believe me, I tried to talk Fred Thiel into it, and he wouldn't, and so I had to give up.
I do believe you.
Yeah,
She
so
tried.
the point is
That's okay.
that.
Come on.
Can't get up
Well,
here.
I do believe you, but.
Right, so
the
so
previous
here we
board
have
did
the
this.
park, we're gonna make it a park.
That'd
CPF
be
will
nice.
pay to demolish the building. The only question is, do we have the whole thing preserved by CPF, or do we have a part that's just a park that could be open to other uses, like a farmer's market, if somebody wanted that? But that's what we'll talk about at the public hearing, but it's not gonna slow anything down.
Supervisor,
It's okay.
Cindy
We'll-
McNamara said,
Yeah.
there's no parking there or anything. There's, you know, you have to park on the street. It's not.
Ray, we gotta move on, okay? If you keep on talking, it's gonna be 10 months, okay?
All right, so I move to close the public hearing with leave for written comments for 10 days. to wait
Second.
For the planning commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that brings us to the public portion
Thanks, Cal. Have a good night.
of the meeting, and we do have several cards. The first one is Gail Lombardi.
Hi, Gail.
I always get my money's worth, I tell you, and I do. I sympathize with the people from Riverhead, and now part of my 3 minutes, my partner did the math, it's $1,400, $1 million divided by 700 homes. So if nobody else gets online, it's $1,400 average per household. I want to talk about a couple of things. One is that last survey that went out for, I call it hysterical concepts, and 2 hysterical concepts, and all the other consultants you hire. So I'll start with consultants. I'm flabbergasted that this town board continues to not hire consultants through competitive bidding, going back to the well. We'll go to Nelson Pope Mavora is my favorite. You know, they screwed up the HPDOD. We offered, you know, we approved, you all approved another $200,000, not you, to fix it, and part of their contract was to neutralize us. Okay, they didn't end up, it was their choice to step away from that contract, and they're still working for the town. And now on Riverside, you have the same STP people working, you know, for the sewage treatment plant, all, again, with no competitive bid. You have, I guess now, I don't know what's going on with VHN, you know, no competitive bid, or no competitive bid. And so I'm gonna play, you know, I call it my jailhouse lawyer, and I'm gonna do a little more research as to far as what you're supposed to be doing, if there's ethics violations involved with town employees, or at a higher level, because I'm kind of disgusted, to be honest with you, especially hysterical concepts. And Nelson Pope Memorials. As far as the survey goes, that survey is not worth the paper it's written on. I could be an expert witness, as Ray says. I could be an expert witness at that. Not an expert speaker, but an expert witness in statistical sampling and extrapolating that over population. You have a population of people, you have no idea who they are. I mean, I don't want to be, you know, sarcastic, but they could be like Russian interlopers that decide they want to develop in Hampton Bays. You have no idea who those alleged 1,000 people are. It was as of, you know, you checked off the box if you were resident, non-resident. What's that? So you can extrapolate that over the 13,000 people, 15,000 residents, or 8,000 homeowners in Hampton Bays, and say that's what Hampton Bays wants. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, number one. There's 800 comments. That should tell you a lot. Second thing is the actual questions on that survey. You've heard the comments that last question, you weren't able to move on unless you answered it, but it didn't give all the options. Some people wanted 100 affordable. Some people wanted 0 affordable. You weren't able to move on. You weren't able to do it. You had 800 comments, which should be very telling to you about how irrelevant that survey was. And it was the third. So it was like my dance teacher was married in New York, and she said there's only 3 lines in her marriage license, so she knew she had to stay with her third husband because there was no 4th line, so she couldn't divorce him and put it on the 4th line. So is that what you were shooting for, like the 3rd line's a charm, so we're going to go with this survey? I have no idea. As far as the questions, like I said, the questions themselves, we used to use the donut questionnaire. So when an unscrupulous manager knew he had to survey his peeps and find out what they wanted for a breakfast meeting, he didn't start with, what do you want for a breakfast meeting? He would start with, what kind of donuts do you want? So this way, the people thought they actually had say, yay, we have say, we had a choice. No, he got what he wanted. He got the donuts. He may not have got chocolate sprinkles, but he got, you know, jelly filled. So that's that survey, okay? And then to use, again, hysterical concepts, where they screwed it up the first time. I mean, I sent you a long letter on that. That was a complete, I can't even think of the words. But the thing that got to me recently, which I didn't even realize, in one of the pictures, it looks like there's a pond. And Ray D'Angelo said some of the seniors at the senior centers actually thought there was a pond. And it's not the Suffolk County dump, you know, the part where the water goes, whatever it's called. What's it called? Sump. The sump, where the drainage. But they made it look like a pretty little pond. I mean, why are we doing this to people at Hampton Bays? And I guess they're going to give a work session or whatever, you know, fine, you know. And then the last thing is the consultants that are doing the STP. I'm forwarded the maps that Janice provided to a colleague of mine, and she saw 30 Cemetery Road on there. If 30 Cemetery Road is still an option, there's going to be a lot of trouble.
They took that off.
Okay.
It's on the map because it was one that they had to look at. But
it was
they said
preliminary.
at the work session that was.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay. I didn't listen to the work session. She did. She said it was hard to see from the maps, and I thank Janice for sending them to Ray, and I thank you all for paying attention to that, and thank you, Cindy, for that clarity, because she lost her mind, as you can imagine who it was. All right, so those are my comments, and, you know, thank you again. This board is trying their best. I get it. And I can't defend the prior administration. I'm sorry, Supervisor Moore.
I know, I try to think the best
I
of
know,
people.
I know you are, I know. And I respect you for that. I'm weak. I'm not as strong as you are. I'm weak. I'm sorry. Thank you all.
Mr. Marin.
I'm Chip Marin, Southampton Town Trustee. It was time for me to approach you guys because we got some upcoming issues, and I just want to put the swords down. You know, basically work as a unit. You know, we are separate entities, but that's the beauty of it. Beauty of it is because it's a system of checks and balances.
You're speaking as a town trustee?
I'm speaking as a town trustee. Okay, first off is the dock inspections. Okay, we're 135 behind. It's not that I'm necessarily worried about the safety of the docks because they're all so overbuilt, it's ridiculous. For the most part, is the amount of money that is tied up in escrow with the environmental consulting industries and the marine contractors. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's tied up with these people that work on all these projects. You know, this has got to get rectified. And the other, which is really important, and I know that, you know, some people on the board are really pushing for this, is the living shorelines. You know, these living shorelines have to be inspected annually or biannually or on a continuous basis to see whether they failed. Because if they failed, it's the person that has pulled the permit is responsible for repairing the living shoreline in a very timely basis. Otherwise, you're going to have leaching. You're going to have, collapsing structure of the living shoreline. So I think it's very important that you guys really kind of push this through, you know, as far as like give us somebody to kind of get up to speed on this. The 135 is just, that's a lot of inspections.
Was there any reason
It's
why
on.
the trustees didn't hire, I understood there's money in the budget for a part-time dock inspector, and that the person that had
Well,
that
because
job
according to the
before
STIP,
quit?
it's supposed to, you know, that the town is supposed to appropriate us an inspector, and they didn't want, you know, like there was before when we had the Marine Patrol do it, they didn't want to do it because they weren't qualified, and then so we're trying to shake and move and work with, you know, hiring
Yeah.
what you guys deem is the correct inspector.
Yeah,
So
I just thought there was
it's a lot
somebody
of
that
red
was
tape.
working there last year and he
retired
in
and he couldn't go
June.
over bridges. It's really hard to, you know, inspect docks in Southampton town if you don't want to go over a bridge, you know, like.
Yeah, but Chip, and with all due respect, when that part-time dock inspector left last summer, the trustees never listed that position or advertised that position and even tried to fill that position. So to put it on us that they're 135 inspections behind when they didn't try to fill the position that they had funding for,
Yeah.
is not really fair.
Well, we just needed this is prior to me, so, you know, like,
Yeah.
this is a new rodeo.
I understand.
Yeah, so, but, like, we need clarification of, you know, like, first it's like, oh, Marine Patrol can't do it, and then, you know, to your point, like, it would be nice to have somebody who can enforcement, and then to Bill's point, it would be nice to have somebody who has, you know, familiarity with plans, so I'm all for it.
And I honestly think that the resolution that we have for the dock inspector actually sells the trustee short because it gives you at least 1 day a week, and that's up to the chief building inspector, so they can tell you, sorry, I can only spare a guy for 1 day a week this week. And I know, as the former liaison to the trustees, when they had the part-time dock inspector doing 20 hours a week, they were coming to me asking me to increase that position because 20 hours a week was not enough. So where we were at with it at the end of it was, you know, the trustees want to they want to be separate and apart from the town board, and yes, you need to fill that position. Right now, you're asking us to have a building inspector that's run by our chief building inspector, not answering to the trustees, but doing work for the trustees, where when we were having the conversation when 20 hours a week was not enough, we were having a conversation where, how do the trustees get their own position for a building inspector? Because let's face it, the people that are asking for docks are not on the short end of having money to afford what those docks should cost to inspect. And in that case, the taxpayers aren't funding that position. It's funded by the dock revenue, which, as you're saying, is being held up because you're not getting the inspections done. And it all kind of falls into place. And when our building department asks for a building inspector, they show us the revenue side of things and how it's offset, so it's not a taxpayer ask. So I just, I understand where they're coming from, but this is not a failure of the town board to work with the trustees. This is, this is something that, it has to be addressed, but they did not try to fill that position since last summer, and I don't know that a day is gonna be enough. So we should make sure going into this that you get what you need and it's funded properly.
No, it's 2 days.
I mean, we do have a resolution on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
understand.
think it's 2 days.
It's a maximum of 2 days, at least 1 day a week.
Yeah.
It's not, and it doesn't, the resolution that we have on today, to be clear, doesn't do anything. It doesn't give the trustees a building inspector tomorrow. It gives them a building inspector once we establish the memorandum of agreement, and it gives them the building I mean, it doesn't do anything for you today. Just want to make sure that resolution does nothing today because it's all based on a memorandum of agreement on a tax line. So we can support it, and I'm happy to, but it doesn't get you a building inspector tomorrow.
Can you just step down? She wants to.
Yeah, sure.
Don't go away.
I'm just, as the administrator in land management and, overseeing the building department, we would say, and I don't know how you structured this in the resolution, and I don't know that it's appropriate to discuss it all right now, but I just want to say, we thought we would do one option, just to put it out there, and you guys can all think about it, is to just parse out the dock fees, like Councilwoman McNamara was saying, the fees are what generate the revenue, which offsets our cost to have the inspector. So we would add a fee to our building schedule, and that person who has a dock, who applies to the trustee, and James Duryea or whoever looks at the plans and reviews them, and then our side, they would literally come in with the approved plans and request an inspection. And the fee would be the fee, whatever that is, that would be on our fee schedule, and we would just put it in our fast track bin, so it's not like you have to assign one inspector.
It was my
We would
understanding that the
be-
fees were still going to the trustees, not to the building
Yeah, I'm
department.
suggesting you parse out the fees and give us
If
the
they're willing to
fees,
do that, then,
because you still have the fees from the inspection, from the review. They'll do the plan review, and we would
See,
do the
trouble is
inspections.
that they're supposed to supply us with an inspector, because the Bay Constables did it for the last 40 years, okay? Now they're not qualified to do it.
Right.
Then Jay gave us 30,000 in the budget to hire part-time. We hired a part-time, that 30,000 went into part-time help. We, used some of that help for, all the part-time help money goes in one thing, as you know.
Right.
Okay, so we had pipe and plover people, we had a lot of pipe and plover, we had overrun, and then by the time we got down to there, we ran out of money, okay? And we could not hire someone else. We went there, asked for more money, and we don't want to talk about what happened, okay? We were refused the money. I'll leave it there. The town is obligated to do it for the trustees, because they did it. Yes, it's in the MOA where it's set as a cost back and forth, so it'll come out neutral.
Sure.
And the original agreement, when we sat with Sean, with Scott, that
What MOA is this?
the MOA, what we're discussing, what we're gonna bring back to you.
That we haven't agreed upon, okay.
I just don't want to get into the nitty gritty necessarily,
I'm sorry.
But I'm just saying,
Councilman
there's nothing
but-
in this that
Right, so we're
does
actually
anything today.
offering
but it's a
for,
step.
in the interim
It's a-
step,
it's-
because
it's
you
a
have a
step.
backlog, if we could charge fees on our fee schedule, we can get those inspections at least completed now,
Yeah.
and that way at least help, and then however this has to get worked, I'm just offering our help,
Yeah.
and how
We have-
how we
it-
can all work
both
together.
sides.
Chip and I go way back to, back in the day, and I just want to say that, it would be, fine for us in land management, if we can get the dock fee at least for the inspection, then we can dedicate and put it in our fast track bin, and any inspector in that area can deal with it.
Yeah, Sean was gonna.
I know
basically
Sean wants to
was
do it, a certain way, but I'm just saying the quicker way is to just
sometimes
put it
the
out
quicker
there.
way is not, because some of these docks are gotta be
yeah,
very careful.
complicated. Him and
Yeah.
our principal inspector, Dave Kanji, and more Dave than Sean, because we need Sean to be
once it-
doing other things
yeah,
as the chief.
Yeah, 'cause
So,
once they get caught up, it might only be a half a day one week.
Sure.
A day the next week, maybe the following week could be none.
right, so I'm saying, in the interim step, as Councilwoman McNamara said, it doesn't do anything for you today.
No,
And
I know
I'm
that.
just standing up
It's a-
here
it's a
saying,
step.
maybe
It's a
there's
step
something in
forward.
between today and when all this gets sorted out that we can help with. And
Yeah.
that's what I offer, and
I know you
Sean
will.
does too.
You always do a
so-
good job.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to make it, no, thank you.
And in fairness, I just want to point out that, yes, we said that we weren't going to appropriate more taxpayer funding to dock inspections because it was supposed to be worked out where the dock fees would fund the inspections, and if there was a short change, then it was pretty obvious that the fees you were collecting weren't sufficient to cover the cost of inspecting those docks. And that's why we decided not to put more taxpayer money into it and to say, you know what, in the coming year, you adjust your fee schedule,
answer for that,
you
Chip.
collect the extra funds, and you fund the dock inspection.
But Chip, the answer, I never missed a meeting, and I never heard that in any meetings we had with her as related to the trustees. Only thing we got was a letter, $1 million letter, I call it. I do not want to discuss it
I
tonight.
sat here with Supervisor Schneiderman in executive session, and that's what Supervisor Schneiderman said to you.
No. I don't want to argue with you, but it
Glad
did
this
not
is all
happen. that.
before me, 'cause I'm
It still
trying
doesn't
to-
solve your problem today, Bill.
No, it doesn't.
So it comes down to, do the trustees want to allow the building department to collect a fee for dock inspections?
That has to come later. First, we have to do that.
Yeah, I mean.
First, we do that, then when we do the MOA, then we discuss this. This is a first step. So when the trustees and the town board agree on the MOA, then it'll be ready to go.
Oh, okay. The other item that I really want to touch upon is obviously this and I was told that it was going to be tabled tonight, was the home line, the home rule message. It's basically just a repackaged. It's a repackaged version of the existing law. Okay, so the importance of it is that we're going to be able to show the state and the county that as a board and a trustee board, Southampton Town Board and a trustee board, that we're willing to work together on issues. That's the imperative importance of passing this home rule message. If you guys decide not to vote for it, the old rule is still existing. But I think it's ridiculous that I have to go down to an environmental consulting company and pay $3,500 to decide we don't want to have a dog leg and mecox cut, whether we want to make it straight. You got to understand, I lived and grew up on that bay my whole life, and I've worked the ocean, so I'm pretty confident in how and when that cut should be opened. Let's save the taxpayers' money, let's save the rhetoric, let's smooth things out. So, as far as changing any language to what was repackaged, we don't have to. It's a working, rule of law that has kind of saved this community to be able to do some monumental things. Case in point is Shinnecock Bay. If we had the state involved with this whole, reseeding program, it would have never happened. The luck of it, the real luck of it is you had Ed Werner working with Chris Goldberg, figuring out the tidal cycles, and at the same time, we had a dredge project. Okay? And the dredge project is actually what made that thing take off. Is because you're able to cover the sediment layer and allow the clams to set. Now, quickly last night, along those same lines, or quickly on your last meeting along those same lines, is you guys were talking about, why does Bullhead Bay have all this, eelgrass taking off? And it's it's always near fresh water. It's kind of algology 101. I went to school to one of the top algologists at the time when I was at school. Iron is the most deficient mineral that we need in order for algae to grow. We're blessed with it on Long Island. That's why you burn your feet when you go to the beach. We have running water through iron deposits and making this to be one of the probably productive like being able to like bioaccumulate and get rid of toxins using the algae species. Like it's if you kind of hamstrung us on some of these home rule messages, it will, we just can't get these projects done in a timely enough manner when we're getting wrapped up in the DEC. It's the same as like, we really should be using southern species of eelgrass, but there's a lot of steps in order to deal with the DEC to do that. We can cross-pollinate southern species of eelgrass with northern species of eelgrass in a closed system whereby it's not going to, worry about contaminating water and cross-contaminating water bodies. And we might have a shot at actually having eelgrass.
Because the water's warmer.
Yeah, because but we're constricted by all these DEC rules and regulations, whereas we have an opportunity to do it. Case in point, where I'm working with Solitude Lake Management, with Mill Pond. We've got a really great shot at actually doing something to clean that lake body up. Not a crackpot solution, not a one-hit wonder, not a silver bullet, like real holistic approach utilizing CPF funds and, upland drainage, legacy water testing. There's technology that's available now that was not available 10 years ago. And if you start getting wrapped up with the state, it makes it even more difficult to implement these things. So I really beg the board, just pass this home rule message. It's already a law, and we're blessed as freeholders of the town of Southampton to be able to go to the beach, to have access and egress, to go down with your kids and get a spackle bucket of clams. There's not too many places in the world, let alone the US, where you can do this. So,
Chip, the home rule message refers to, I believe, the laws of 1835.
Yeah.
I mean, and specific, and I've kind of asked for that. I haven't seen the law that it's referencing.
I have a
that
copy
we're
of it.
passing a home rule on in support of.
It's basically verbatim.
Just to let you know. But
Yeah.
we have some language that we're going to get introduced in the state legislature, which is going to, make it palatable for us, and we should be able to get it done. That's why we're tabling it, or maybe tabling it.
We table it so Jim can explain it to you and Cindy and Michael. And I already know, Michael already knows, Marie already knows. So we did a lot of research on it.
Yeah, my office has been, I've been.
I mean, you can do it now if you want.
No,
We can,
no, I
we
was
can
saying,
do it tonight.
no, not that. I'm just saying that I've been in communication with Senator Palumbo's office. Mark McReven from my office has been speaking with Assemblyman Thiel. I do have copies of the 1831 legislation. I do agree that the language is really mirrors what the language was in 1831, and I am comfortable that it's really, I think Chip's saying it's a restatement of the powers that the trustees already have. And
In 1831.
Right, no,
And
I understand
it
it's
refers to
language
like
in there
powers
that-
of the trustees over town properties and also eminent domain. That needs to be, that needs, no?
Yeah, well, the eminent domain language is in the earlier part of the.
That was due to the
It's in-
proprietors.
it's in the bill, but
Just
it's-
asking for the town to be added to
I
the.
get it.
To the same
I want to do the MOA.
situation that the villages have.
Let's get that done.
We'll pass them
this-
both. I mean, it's like,
Well-
I mean, it's basically just establishing a law that we already have. You can say no, I'm gonna vote no, but it's still gonna be an existing law. Like, this is just reestablishing it so that we can progress forward and show the states like, wow, Southampton town's really stepping up to bat. It looks like the trustees is working with the board instead of at, odds against each other.
Chip, let me just, trustee, I should say.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks.
I couldn't agree with you more, especially access to our beaches, our waterways, that's so important. The billionaires and millionaires shouldn't be the only ones with access to those pristine areas. It should be for everybody, and there's parts around the county where there is restricted access. Let's face that. And the trustees do play a role here. But one of the things I want to ask Jim, council perhaps, is this particular home rule the same exact thing that exists now?
Yes, I believe it is. I believe it. I can, I think I had a discussion about an hour before the town board meeting with President Horowitz, and Bill was involved. So we had further discussions on it. And I do believe it's just a mirror of the 1831 legislation. The language is identical or
But
almost
if it's
identical.
still in effect, then what is
I-
it?
Right, I think
Why
it's
do you
just,
have to do it?
well, that's not my, I didn't propose it,
And
but.
why is there the language
but
in there that says the villages, anything from?
Yeah,
Because that had to do with the
County
Beats
was-
case.
Why
That
is
was the
in there?
original
I don't
Beats
know.
case.
They
That
didn't
was the
put-
original
it's not my
Beats
bill.
case.
But
That's why
Assemblyman
that came
Thiel
about.
must have a reason for putting it forward,
That-
right? So what,
That-
why
which-
refresh
putting what
this law
forward?
if it's already in effect?
Just to strengthen it.
don't know that.
Because
not my
what
bill.
happened about, you probably catching crabs on the bay when this happened. About 10, 12 years ago, a few homeowners along the beach wanted to start a new village from Sagaponack to Southampton Village, include all right down the beach. Once they found out that they could not control meatcocks, because that's what they wanted to do, control meatcocks to limit, so they can dredge themselves, limit the people down there, limit what happens on the beach there. The firemen going down there having the parties and the families going out and have picnics, that is a big community beach, okay? And a lot of the homeowners did not want that. And once they found out that the law of 1831 or 32, whatever it is, stopped them from having a village, because they could not control it. And that's why that law saved that area for the freeholders, the people that keep on access there. And it includes the 26 miles from up on the whole Ocean Beach. We always have access. And if we don't have the access to get to the access to the right-of-way, then you can't get there, okay? You can go down, one of the biggest fights I had when I was a trustee down in Watermill with the beach club there, they did not want Ray to walk down there with his umbrella and picnic bag and his blanket laid on the beach in front of the place. Because they said they owned it. They don't own it. It's owned by the right-of-way is owned by the freeholders of Southampton Town. And that gives you the right. That's why the trustees are so important for this home rule message.
So let me ask you this question then. What happens now if they're putting a law on the state books that says that villages are not bound by the laws of 1831, and they decide to form a village? Does that not hurt the trustees? Because now there's a state
Yeah, but
law
the
that
access
says
is the
the
e-
states don't have to apply by the laws of 1830.
But the access and egress is still Trump.
Egress.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Even if you're saying that the villages are exempt from those laws.
As far as
They still have the right-of-way, what goes right
they
down
still,
the beach.
yeah, we still have the right of ways over the dunes and the letter roads or the.
But why would the trustees want something on the state books
It
that
was written
says-
originally, that law was originally written when there was the proprietor trustees and there was the town trustees, okay?
They probably
And then,
didn't get
and then the
along either.
bathing corporation, or, the bathing beach, and that was the original Beats case, and that's when basically Captain George White came down and says, wait, no, we used to land whales here. It's like, you can't just take this over. This is the highway. This is the actual highway. That's why the bathing corp beach is private. And all of a sudden they says, wait, no, okay, we're gonna have the Agawam parking. That became the new highway to go around where the proprietor trustees basically sold the land illegally, okay? And that's why that small bit of language was in there with the village, within the village, because then it became an incorporated village of Southampton Town. In order to, there was always a wrestling match with trying to take the beach rights away.
But
This is not new.
This solidifies that the villages they don't have to abide by the laws of 1831. This puts it in a new state law.
We may not want to do this the way.
I'm just asking, I'm not a lawyer, but why would you want to take a law that applies to everybody and say the villages doesn't apply to you?
We still have, they can't take the right-of-way out of that. The right-of-way, what goes through the village.
The access and egress cannot be taken away.
Yeah, the proposed legislation says nothing in this act shall be construed as affecting any power or authority of any incorporated village within the town of Southampton over lands, beaches, and waters within such villages pursuant to the village law, general municipal law, and municipal home rule law. So that's the qualifying language in
I just don't know
paragraph
why you
7
would
of the
want
proposed
that in a new
legislation.
state law saying that the villages aren't.
Yeah, well, my discussions today, and then what I had spoke to Scott and Bill about was, you know, let me speak with Fred, let me speak with Tony, let's, you know, get on this, from the legislative history is pretty clear to me. I think it says what it says. I think it's the goal of this is restatement of their authority. I'm not so sure that it gives you
Carte
power,
blanche.
you know.
Yeah.
No, right. I mean, I don't think, you know, the DEC will argue about that. Not the-
Well, you want them
necessarily,
involved, but it
because-
is ridiculous for me to spend $3,500 to say, I want to make this cut straight this year because we have a sand
Right.
flat that has creeped
I
across the
understand.
bay for the past 10 years, and it's
Right.
almost, you know, like it's a third of the way
And
across the
honestly,
bay.
I think the town board would be happy to work with the trustees
Yeah.
Yeah.
on getting that through the, you know, through the
Right,
DEC.
and that's kind of.
That's what the
my
crux
discussion
And
of
I'd
the
rather
issue,
work on that than sit here and argue about, you know,
The laws of
And that's what we said, and maybe
1831.
we're due
Yeah, but
for
you
our-
have to understand the laws, those laws of 1831,
Oh, I'm not
you
dismissing
know.
them. I just
Yeah.
want to read them
Yeah.
before I'm asked to support them. I mean,
Well,
this
I mean,
is-
they're
this is what
already
we should
law.
do.
I mean, whether you support them or not, it's already law.
then why
Right.
not
but
just
since
ask
they
for a
were
home rule
written, there's
message?
town law and county law and state law that has come into play, you know, delineating powers of the town and the, you know, it just,
No, I understand, but these laws basically trump those laws because they were, you know, like when we came over, you know, it's kind of nice. Like you get off the boat, and all of a sudden you see a bunch of the Shinnecock Nation wandering around. You're like, oh my God, these guys don't have to go to a lord of the manor and ask permission to go kill a fish or kill a deer. You know, this is kind of nice. I like this. Let's have some Irish, you know, lawyer draw up a law because I want those same rights. You know, like everybody who lives in the town of Southampton wants those same rights that the freeholders of the town of Southampton that predates the town of Southampton had. That's all they want. You know, like that's what these laws are holding everything up on.
Right, and so you say the laws already exist, then, you know, my question would be, then why are we being asked to issue a home rule message on passing a law?
It's just
to support that?
reestablishing the home rule
Okay,
message.
So
Yeah.
with that, I would respectfully ask that I be provided, and the board be provided with chapter 22, chapter
283 of
255 of the laws of, and 283 of the laws of 1831, so I can put my eyes on them before I vote on what I'm, you know,
That's
supporting.
fine.
That's
Yeah.
fair enough, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, and see
Come on.
that there's a parallel.
And also, in addition to that, we just want to, you know, like to speak with the assemblyman and the senator directly and just make sure we're all on the same page as to what the goal is here and how we can move ahead in the best fashion possible.
And I wanna move-
As Chip said, for the
Yeah.
town board and the trustees.
And the trustees are okay with exempting the villages from this? This is, I mean, you guys might want to think about this.
Well, again,
Seriously.
that's what we have to see, why that language is in there. I was not the author, you know.
Because I know you had
Who
go-arounds
the
years
author of the
ago.
bill was.
Yeah.
We want to talk to them and get exactly.
I believe
what-
the language is of, you know, we have to look back at that older law, but that language is in there based on the village of Southampton.
We passed a home rule message, I think, 3 years ago, supporting and reaffirming the trustees' easements over the beach, over the ocean beaches. How is this different than that?
Well, this is concerning Mecox primarily, right at the moment for
It
this.
doesn't say me,
Yeah, this is the ocean beaches.
I'm looking at it.
I mean, it was drafted concerning. I mean, this predates me. You know, this is more Bill's realm, but it was drafted because we were not able to actually cut the cut.
Yeah, the DEC held it up for.
The DEC
like 10
held
years.
it up.
I'm not so sure if that's the goal, that whether that.
well, why don't we find out from the senator
Right.
and the assemblyman
Right,
if
right.
what is the goal and.
Yeah. I'm not
So
so, I'm not.
Jim is gonna
Yeah, I
speak
know.
with Senator Palumbo
We're
and
here.
Yeah, no, I
Councilman
think-
Thiel, and we're gonna put it into this discussion for tonight, and I think Bill's fine, Councilman Pell's fine with
Yes, hold on, I spoke with Scott.
tabling the
Well,
resolution.
it's good for the public
Thank
to
you
hear
for
this,
your
'cause-
input.
Hey, Chip, you want a copy of that too, or do you already have a copy?
Oh, I'm sure Joe has a copy of it.
Of what?
The copy what you're gonna give us?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe's got it.
Oh, no, I'm sure, yeah, he's got everything. yeah.
He's got the,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I might got it from him.
he's
but-
got the Palm Guide in his back pocket.
All right, yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chip.
trustee.
And just so, before you go, we do want to do, work on the MOA. I mean, we're kind of doing this piecemeal, and, you know, that memorandum of agreement with the trustees in the town is important to get out to the public.
Right,
You know, So
Yeah, I mean,
I'd
we-
like to end with that because we
the
really.
progressive. I mean,
Sure.
let's start to be progressive and actually work together instead of battling this out. I mean, like there's project. I know what you guys are up against. You know, like leave us our little box below the tide mark, and you guys take care of the upland. If you take care of all the drainage and all the mess that's going into the bay that's impacting the bays, like God love you. Like it's a big undertaking, really big undertaking.
Yeah, I believe some of
You
the
got enough
salient
on your
questions
plate.
have to do with employees and.
No, I understand, but in order for us to have the employees, like obviously we have to work together here. Like there is like stipulation of what the town must give us as far as employees.
Well, Councilman Pell and I had a very lengthy meeting. We went through the MOA and we, it's the lawyer for the trustees now to prepare the revisions. So as soon as that happens, we'll meet again.
I was also a part of some of the initial discussions with.
We're about 80, we went about 80-90%.
A year and a half.
So we're good.
anyway.
Yeah. I do say, Chip, that the management of the
We're working toward it.
management of Mecox Bay is obviously extremely
right.
important,
You
and
know,
that's,
And I've been voting
That's
yes on
something we're
every
gonna
one of
work
your
on,
budget requests for 6
separate and
years.
aside of anything going on, we need to work
just
together on that.
streamline. We're all there.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's a huge responsibility for the trustees.
Something we agree on 110%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of knowledge and legacy knowledge, especially that I retain for the people that I've worked on with in Watermill, as far as like how, when, why.
Yeah.
It's all possible. Then you guys can work on the CPF of the bill, the highway department. It's as far as like making sure all the drainage is cleared. Like there's a lot that's going into all these entities, and it's like, okay, we'll take care of opening the cut. You guys take care of the upland pollution. Like, don't keep like second guessing every movement we make. Like we're
I
all
don't
wasting
think
Wait,
that's
time.
we gave you
Yeah.
5 years of funding on that. That was the first time CPF did.
No, it was a blessing.
Well,
it was
I
right
mean,
there, yeah.
It was
But then
not
but then we
easily
were in a wrestling
legally-
match of whether we can sell sand,
Chip.
we can't sell sand. Does it go? Like.
Hey, Chip,
Well, you can't use CPF money
Yeah.
to profit, so.
But can we take CPF money? Can we sell sand and put CPF money as a match to any future projects for the trustees? I don't know. That's a lawyer's question, but it's a very valid
we were
question.
asking that money go back into a Mecox Bay account because there's been times when the
Yeah.
dredging has come up short at the end of the year, so you would have a cushion.
It would be great
to
because
just
if we
manage that
get
cut.
back-to-back storms and we sand out multiple times, and then all of a sudden the CPF fund is burnt up, it would be nice to have a little bit of cushion.
That's all we
Don't
were
burn
asking
it
you to
up.
do with it.
Yeah. Well, you.
I get it, I know.
Yeah. Good luck.
hey, Chip, the supervisor wants to move on, and you have to go.
Yeah, I'm
fishing
fine
tomorrow.
with it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chip.
Ray, you have some more comments?
Come on up, Ray.
Do you want these down to Sunday?
Government in action.
You know, I live on the western side of Shinnecock Bay, and when I was a young boy, which was wild, there used to be all eelgrass there, and the ducks would be in there, because I guess they were bait fish in there. And when you spooked them, the sky would be cloudy with ducks. Now, like, I take a survey of them, there's like 15, 16 ducks, there's no eelgrass. It's very upsetting, so I don't know if you have some plan to get eelgrass back there. The ducks come in and fish are in there, and it was really beautiful. My grandchildren will never see that, and it's upsetting.
Don't give up hope, Ray.
Excuse me?
Don't give up hope.
No, I'm not. I have complete confidence in you. All right, I just want to, this is one of the things that we discussed at our Civic Association meeting last night. Cindy and I are at loggerheads over it, but I still want to put, we passed it, so. Town Board Resolution 224-400, formation of a best steering committee. Dear Town Board members, the Board of Hampton Bay Civic Association reviewed the above referenced Town Board Resolution. It is on the Town Board agenda for the meeting of March 26, 2024. There does not appear to be community representation on the steering committee. The board raised this issue with the HBCA membership at a regular monthly meeting on March 25th, that was last night. Members of the Hampton Bay Civic Association and its board have been instrumental in shining the light on issues related to the best zoning. Members of the Hampton Bay Civic Association and its board are directly affected by the proposals before the planning board, including the Canal Southampton proposal. We're under the gun here. I mean, the other two proposals for battery storage were in Hampton Bays. So as such, the Hampton Bays Civic Association Board respectfully requests that the town board appoint 2 members of the Hampton Bays Board or its designees to the Best Steering Committee. So we have resident representation on this committee. All right here.
So, Board, when we were in work session, I had brought up a possible position for someone from the Sustainability Committee, and we'll stick with, if the board is amenable to this, we'll stick 2 employees on this committee only, and I'll drop the request to have a member of the Sustainability Committee on the committee that Ray's referring to.
I appreciate that. I mean, this committee is supposed to be town-driven, and we are going to meet with the civics and the CACs. I understand the work that Hampton Bays has done on this. I appreciate that work. I keep in constant contact with the group. We're not undervaluing your input. You will definitely be part of the process, as I said. These meetings are gonna be transparently done. They're gonna be recorded. You can watch them. You know, we're not meeting behind closed doors and coming up with something, and ultimately, we'll have public hearings. This board will vote on a new set of zoning amendments.
Okay, well, that was one of the big objections we had, was having somebody from sustainability, a regular resident, on the committee.
Mhm.
And so I'm happy that you decided and you withdrew your request to have her on, or him, on the committee. The other thing is, we had Lynn Arthur last night about the community choice aggregation program. And she was very forthright, and I appreciate her truthfulness. And my main objection to that program are twofold. First of all, that you have to opt out of it. Everybody's in it to begin it, which I don't think is right. And the second thing is, I think it has to be made clear that and she said this, that, you know, when you go for 100% renewable, you're probably going to end up paying more money for your electric bill. And there's a lot of people that, you know, I know from the senior center, that are struggling. I mean, you know, our taxes, food is so expensive, and these people are on fixed income. So any increase in electric bill would be onerous on them. So, I mean, I think it's fine if you have, you know, you really feel conscious about this, you know, climate change, and you don't care about spending a little bit more for your electricity, that's fine. But you shouldn't have to opt out of it, because, you know, a lot of these people get confused. I know, because I'm there a lot during the day, and they always come up and ask me questions. I sense that they don't understand things. So, you know, you always have to be aware of people, especially who are going to be older, that, you know, we don't want to, so they get locked into something they don't understand. Like, they could be into this program, and all of a sudden the rates are higher than they would have to pay if they went for regular, let's say, fossil fuel generation. You know, the problem with this program, only 5% of the energy produced on Long Island is from sustainable sources. And this has been complicated by Indian Point's shutdown, because that's been lost. So that had to be made up with fossil fuel generation. So right now, this program is, you know, it really is to increase the demand for sustainable sources. But the problem is that we're way behind schedule on doing that, and it's going to probably increase the cost of electricity. So that's my main concern about it. So I hope that you guys will think that. And the other thing I just want to mention, and this is a public health thing, is that we have a lot of cases of COVID in the senior center now. And my wife and I were very sick 2 weeks ago with COVID, and really wicked cases. We had to go on Paxlovid, which I still having the effects of. And just so you guys know, you're aware of this, that, you know, we have quite a few cases of it. And some of these cases are the second and third time these people are getting this. So I don't know, that's just for the word. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
No, I didn't know that. Thank you
Yeah.
for telling us.
And that's it for tonight. I want to thank you. And my wife said to be polite. I appreciate all what you do. And I combed my hair and everything, so I did everything she told me to do. Thank you very much.
Always look forward to see you.
Mary?
Hi, I'm sorry, I know everybody wants to go home.
We still have a whole agenda to go through.
2 quick comments. One is a comment of opportunity. it's a bad day for you, because I was just researching docs, and I was planning on writing to the trustees. And one of my issues is that West Shinnecock Bay, from Bay Avenue down to as far as you can go before Coast Guard comes after you, I walk there all the time. And I've been walking there for like 20 years. And well, I looked up docks in the code yesterday, and it says that a homeowner who has a dock has to keep an area, a 5-foot wide clear area on the upland side of the dock, so that people can walk along the beach. But that's not the case over there. I mean, a lot of the docks now are like, they take them down for the winter or whatever. But it's just a little complaint that some of these folks are blocking the entire walkway. I didn't mind 10 years ago. But now, not for nothing, it's getting a little harder to go up those 4-foot things and jump over the dock. I can't do it anymore, so I feel like, I'm old now and I need access for my exercise. So I do wish that you guys would look at those docks, because you can't walk by there, and if you can walk on what seems to be their property, you have to walk through a tick-filled grassy area.
You could perhaps attend a trustee meeting.
I will.
And let them
I will.
know
This
your
was just a
concerns.
comment of opportunity. He was here, so I took the chance. Why not? Just, on the Bel Air again, I'm not particularly, me personally, not particularly concerned about the money at this point. I mean, paid $1 million, we'll get a park. That's something to me. But I guess and I know Cindy really tried yesterday to explain this to me, I don't understand why the town can't pay for the demolition of the building now.
It's further taxpayer funds.
Well, I know that, but
It's $250,000.
I don't know
It's
what
not a
the
drop
po-
in the bucket. So
Well,
if we
I
give it to
understand that,
CPF,
okay.
CPF can pay for it. So CPF can't buy the property back from the town, so we're out the $1.2 million. But we would further be out, we'd be out $1.5 million if we also fund taking down the building.
Right, I know. And from my perspective, at some point, I personally think you'll be out the $250,000, but at this point, is that really the most important issue here?
Well, when it's $250,000, you could put into Red Creek Park or, another facility in the town when you don't have to expend the taxpayer money for it.
Okay.
And you're talking about maybe a couple of months after we've waited.
I don't know. I listened
How
to you
many
guys
years?
go through the process, and that's my second plea is bureaucracy, is a beauty, but, sometimes you got to really push through the bureaucracy. And that's why I'm asking this question. I'm like, okay, I appreciate your fiduciary duties and you're respecting the people's tax dollars, but in some ways, at this point, what's the big deal to spend another $250,000? That maybe you could spend it at Red Creek Park, but in the meantime, everyone, including all these tourists and visitors that you want to attract to Hampton Bays, drives past that building, which is on a major road to the beach. If I was a tourist, I'd be like, oh, look at that, I'd go the next block and say everything's great, but I just feel like, why can't you spend the $250,000 of town money? And then donate the property if you must to CPF later.
It wasn't budgeted for this year, so.
And
Well,
not only that,
again-
but the bulkhead needs to be replaced, and CPF could.
But I don't think that-
CPF funds could pay for that as well. So there's a lot. It's throwing good money after bad for the town to take tax dollar monies to do these things that we are going to restrict it for CPF, and let that money be used to demolish the building and repair the bulkhead.
We can find out, I can ask tomorrow for a
Repairing
timeline
the
of
bulkhead.
what the difference would be if we use taxpayer money or the time it's gonna
Pre-existing
take us to get it through CPF.
I mean, I'm
I
like-
don't think it's gonna be that big of a difference in time, in which case,
Well, that's
why spend the
okay,
money?
but the way when I'm listening to it, Gail says she's a jailhouse lawyer, so I'm a jailhouse engineer, and I don't even understand why you have to deal with the bulkhead to demolish the building.
You don't.
Right, so.
Well, that's
Just-
part
it's
of
just
it.
a
It's an
part of the
existing
plan.
And
bulkhead.
I told
Get that?
the community, the
Right.
community Christmas last night, because I don't wanna say it's gonna be down by the summer and then have it sit there till Christmas.
Oh, no, it's better to say Christmas and get it by the summer than the other way around,
Yeah.
that's
It
for
might-
sure.
Our goal is
But-
to have it done as soon as possible. If the summertime could be July, but the West is 9 months, like Cindy said. But
Right,
we're
right.
pushing harder than you think.
I understand that the bid documents and everything are ready to go, Or that you have the bids?
We already did this is the whole thing. We already expended taxpayer money to do the asbestos abatement plan, because if you've watched the meetings and you followed this through, I asked that we at least start the process.
right. No, I
When we had
appreciate
to go
that.
back to the community a 12th time, I asked that we start the process and get something done so that we were ready to go once it got to this point, which is why we have an asbestos plan in place already. So that doesn't have to be done. So that's already one step towards getting this done.
Right. I mean, I think people would be happy to see some activity at the site, because to everybody it looks like nothing's going on. And I don't know. I understand how municipal budgeting works, unfortunately, for me in some ways. And I don't understand with CPF, because it's not my area. But it just seems to me that the town could pay for the demolition. And then, quite honestly, me personally, you could decide for like 2 years how to divide up the property once the building is down. But, I mean, maybe you could consider, I trust that you're doing whatever you can, and I just want to encourage you to keep trying to push through what I'm going to call bureaucracy. It's not all useless regulations, I get it, but maybe there are ways that piece of the work, the demolition of the building, could happen sooner.
That idea has been discussed. You're right. I mean, that's an option. We've been considering that, and we'll consider it as we now. This today was just the step to remove the urban renewal plan.
Right.
And then the next thing will be how we move from there. But your option, as you suggest, is something we have considered. So that's
Considered and rejected, or
No,
still
no,
considering?
No, it's still considered.
As long as you're still
Funding.
considering,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Kevin, is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak?
No one on Zoom.
Thank you. All right, then I move to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's proceed with the resolutions.
Yes. Speed reading?
Yeah,
Ready?
yes.
Okay. Are you waiting, I'm sorry, are you waiting for a resolution or something?
Yeah, I'm a journalist from Newsday.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I actually have some questions about Liberty Gardens.
Oh, you are not going to take questions right now. We have to get through the next section.
Yeah, I was going to wait until the end of the meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Town Board Resolution 359 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone, authorized change order for subaqueous water main crossings, Shinnecock Canal at Mashut Beach and Ponquag Bridge at Lighthouse Road with Banker Construction Corp.
Need a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-360, co-sponsored by Councilman Schiavone, to authorize the purchase of ammunition from NYS OGS contract with Thomas J. Morris III, DBA Eagle Point Gun, TJ Morris and Sons.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 361 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone, authorized purchase of liquid blended phosphate for Massapequa Water District contract with Caris Corporation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2024-362, agreement, contracts, and leases, also sponsored by Councilman Acela. Authorized purchase from Rockland County contracts with East Coast Emergency Lighting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2024-363, agreement, contract, and leases, authorized purchase of Spoil MFG, Inc., using HGAC buyer contracts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 364 of 2024, authorizing purchases of concrete, asphalt, and related site work improvements for Eastern Suffolk BOCES contracts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-365, to authorize purchases of general contracting services using Suffolk County contract with Austin Drywell.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-366, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract extension with Jackson Dodds and Company, Inc. for tree and stump removal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 367 of 2024, authorizing the purchase of tree removal, stump grinding, and trimming services using Town of Brookhaven contract with Looks Great Services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board Resolution 368 of 2024, co-sponsored by the entire board, Authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Hampton Hopper LLC for South Fork Commuter Connection Shuttle Services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 369, co-sponsored with Councilman Yaselli, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for a watermill traffic impact study.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 370 of 2024, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Local TV Incorporated in order to simulcast programming on Sun 20 TV, the cable television public access channel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-371 to authorize the supervisor to sign contract extension for invasive vegetative control and removal with Coastal Commercial Property Management, Inc.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Tommy John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 372 of 2024, authorizing the purchase of a 2024 Ford F-150 XLT Super Crew from Van Bortel Ford, Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 373 of 2024, authorizing the purchase of another 2024 Ford F-350 XL Super Cab from Nielsen Ford of Morristown, Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 374 of 2024, authorize the purchase of electrical repairs and services from All Service Electric, Inc., using Suffolk County contracts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 375 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilman Iacilli, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Suffolk County Office for the Aging for expanded in-home services for the elderly.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 376 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilman Iacilli, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Nursing Sisters Home Care, DBA Catholic Home Care, to provide expanded in-home services for the elderly program to the town of Southampton residents.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 377 of 2024, to authorize, co-sponsored with Councilman Yaselli, authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with L.K. McLean Associates, P.C. to provide professional services for Historic Projects Coordinator for the Community Preservation Fund Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2024-378, authorize the supervisor to execute a extended agreement with KLK McLean Associate PC on on-call engineer service to be provided to the highway and department for various townwide projects.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-379, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize the supervisor to execute an amended contract with Ronette Riley, architect, for architectural and engineering services for the Southampton Head Start Center expansion rebid.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 380 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilman Pell, authorize the supervisor to sign 2024 extension with Palmanock Environmental LLC for private or municipal markets for the disposal services for municipal solid waste.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-381, to authorize the supervisor to sign 2024 training agreement with the National Coalition Building Institute for Diversity Training.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-382, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to authorize the use of Eastern Suffolk BOCES cooperative bidding program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2024-38, also sponsored by Councilman McMahon, awarded authorized the supervisor to sign contract with Suffolk County Brake Service and walk-in floor trailers.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
2024-384, declare item surplus and authorize disposal of vehicles and equipment.
Second.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 385 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, payment of outstanding invoice in the amount of $14,160 to Stony Brook University's Somos Ocean Engineering Electronics from Water Quality Reserve account.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 386 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilman Iavoni, 2024 notice to bidders for Rampasture Road water main improvements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2024-387, bidding. With a 2024 notice of bidding to require contract furnish and install Microsoft Surface.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 388 of 2024. 2024 notice to bidders for mobile concessions for Hot Dog Beach.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 389 of 2024. 2024 notice to bidders for mobile concessions for Mecox and Scott Cameron.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-390, the 2024 notice to bidders for roadway and heavy construction requirement contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-392, the 20...
Hold on, we missed
Forgot
391.
me. Who was it quicker?
2024
2024-391, Central Purchase and Contract Complaints. 2024 notice to bidder supply of application of steel and aluminum welded.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And now, Town Board Resolution 2024-392, the 2024 notice to bidders for town-wide printing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-393, to amend the 2023 budget for various departments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-394, co-sponsored by the entire board, to amend the 2024 adopted budget for E&G Channel CTV.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-395, to amend the 2024 budget for various departments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-396, to amend the 2024-2028 capital budget and add capital project Red Creek Park Hockey Rink.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-397, to amend the 2024-2028 capital budget and add capital project West Hampton Activity Center.
Second.
Oh, co-sponsored by Councilman Pell.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-398, to amend the 2024-2028 capital program for prior funding projects.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-399, to authorize the closure of capital projects.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-400, co-sponsored by the entire board.
We need to amend
Amend
this,
it.
Motion to amend
just by
Town
striking
Board
number,
Resolution 2024-400 by striking number 10 in the second resolved clause.
and I'll second that.
And you also have to change 10 back to 9. I'm not checking the time.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Thank you, Janice. You have that, Madam Clerk?
I'm looking for the 10 and the 9.
It's in the intro
First
sentence.
second resolved.
10 minutes, right.
Got
So
it.
this is the.
Okay.
Thank you. So,
Motion to approve the
Second.
Town Board Resolution 2024-400 as amended.
Did we vote to amend?
no, we did not.
I thought we did.
Um,
Sorry, we
We almost did.
did the resolution. Did someone second
Tommy
it?
I
John
second the
was
amendment.
All in
second for the
favor?
Aye.
amendment.
Aye.
Okay, and now on the motion to adopt the resolution as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 401, 2024, to reestablish the Disability Advisory Committee as the Southampton Town Disability Task Force. So just two things, one of which
Can we get, I'll second it?
well, I have to make a motion to amend.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to make a motion to amend and then,
You were
yeah.
explaining it.
No. Well,
Okay.
this is going to make the committee work in a much more community-focused way. The goal here will be to sort of model after the Brookhaven Town Disability Task Force, reaching out into the community and trying to fill the gap between families and individuals with special needs and special needs programs. One of the major issues for families with special needs and people who have special needs issues is their accessibility to these programs. There's so many of them. I have a sister with learning disability, and for my parents, it was really difficult to try to sort of navigate through the concrete jungle of services. So this is going to be a way to really do proper outreach to the community and connect people to services. But we do have to make a motion to amend. We have to strike Craig Catalanato, unfortunately.
Which I will second.
Okay, we have a second.
All in
from Cindy.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And motion.
You have to make the motion. You
Oh,
have to
I
make
do
the
it?
motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve, as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Town Board Resolution 402 of 2024, appoint Office of Veteran Affairs for 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-403, assign building inspector to connect trustee building inspector upon execution of the MOA of the town and the trustees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Town Board Resolution 2024-404, continuation of legal services by Coughlin and Gerhard LLP to provide legal services regarding personnel matters relating to the Southampton Town Police Department for 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-405 to retain David Arnson, Esquire of the Law Offices of Thomas M. Bowles, PLLC, for all matters involving sand mines in the town of Southampton for 2024.
I'd like to second and co-sponsor, please.
Myself, too. And I would like to co-sponsor this, too, with the sand mines.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 406 of 2024, resolution of adoption, amending Town Code 325, wetlands, to update a definition and clarify the public hearing newspaper publishing requirements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-407 to amend Resolution 2024-428 to correct the spelling of the New York State Governor John Adams Dix windmill.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 408 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilman Iacilli, authorize waiver of Parks and Recreation Facility use fee for Village of East Quogue beautification fundraiser.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I was just gonna mention the Village of East Quogue.
Yes, it's
For
the,
Village of
actually, it's
East
called the
Quogue.
Village of East Quogue beautification.
Okay. Just
And it really
checking.
hurt when the Civic was in head of the
Sorry.
Village of East Quogue beautification.
Sunday has a couple of
You were there
battle
for that
scars on it.
It's a 501c3, so they couldn't change the name.
Put a lot of work into
I know
that,
she did.
that vote.
I did too, 2
Yeah.
years of my life.
Just checking. Might have missed something there.
Trustee Board Resolution 2024-409, I'm going to table the home rule request resolution support of A period 01531/S period 02156 as has related to the continued authorization of the trustees of the freehold of the Commonwealth of the town of Southampton related to ocean beaches and to other regard as set forth there. So I'd like to table this.
Second to table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next meeting, next meeting. The next meeting.
Next meeting,
April 9th.
April 9th. Thank you.
I'd like to table Town Board Resolution 2024-410 to the following April, no,
April
Second?
9th meeting.
Second.
Who's this? Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-411 to accept the retirement of Sandra Serencione, attorney in human resources. And
I'll second that.
Thank you for your service.
all in favor?
Aye.
Yes,
Aye.
thank you for 17 years of dedicated service to the town.
Yeah, I worked very
She-
closely on a lot of matters, and she was great. You know, it was nice to have somebody of her capabilities in the human resources department. So
A real professional.
I'm going to miss that for sure.
Yes, she's been a tremendous resource
And
for
she's a
my
great,
office
and
as
she's a
well.
huge Mets fan. Even though I'm a Yankees fan, I enjoy talking baseball with her. Yeah.
She has a very good replacement.
Yeah, Juan will be nice.
She does.
Yeah, once.
True public service, one of the real go-to people in the building.
Yeah,
Sandra.
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Always
Thank
has
you,
time
Sandra.
for you.
We have to vote. To vote, right?
Sunday,
We
we
did.
voted, right? on
Yes.
that? Yeah.
We did?
Yes.
Town Board Resolution 2024-412 to appoint Ethan Serrata to Automotive Mechanic 2 in Municipal Works.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-413, co-sponsored by Councilman Pell, to appoint Peter Lewis to the Audio Visual Aid in Education and Government Payroll.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-414, to appoint Tyler Carbone to Groundskeeper 1 in the Parks Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 415 of 2024, authorize the police sergeant to attend Mid-Atlantic Leads Executive Development Seminar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who's the second?
Cindy.
Thank you.
2024-416, authorized reimbursement for drug court judge attendance of New York Association of Treatment of Court Professional Annual Training Conference in Sarasota, New York, held on March 6th through March 8th of 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good
Town
program.
Board Resolution 2024-417, to reassign Ryan Kerwin to Maintenance Mechanic 3 position in the Parks Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have the 4 welcomes. Town Board Resolution ID number 44838, to ratify a stipulation of settlement and release of claims.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution ID number 445994, for warrant number 6, capital number 6, CPF number 6, as of March 26, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's Town Board Resolution ID number 46005, designate the month of April as Dark Skies Month in the town of Southampton.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So yeah, we're doing this because International Dark Skies Week falls on different dates depending on the cycle of the moon. Yeah, so this is just a way to designate the month of April as Dark Skies Month. And the group, the Dark Skies Committee, will be doing things in the summer, a speaker series actually, to sort of talk about the importance of Dark Skies Law and also some of the benefits to the environment, for instance, of Dark Skies Law, how it protects nocturnal wildlife and such. So this is a nice little addition.
Ask Peter to turn off the lights in the cupola.
There you go.
ID
Good
number,
idea.
Did we vote?
ID number 46010, notice of public hearing for WQIP funding, allocation for the wastewater treatment improvement project of Riverside Sewage Treatment Plant, STV. Phase 1 from the Community Preservation Fund, CPF, 20% water quality improvement project, WQIP funds.
Second.
I'd like to be added as a co-sponsored, Cindy.
I think I would too.
I would too. Why not the whole board?
Yeah, we
Yes.
should.
Come on.
No?
Okay, the whole board, I mean,
Make it easy.
for a public hearing.
Yeah, why not?
Find the beginning.
It's public course.
Okay, so who am I adding?
The whole board.
The whole board.
My
Excellent.
motion, Bill seconded it, and
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
And
you.
motion to close?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are closed.